Hey everybody, welcome to the Players Take, episode 11. I am your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host, my man, Montrell Rice.
Hey, what up everybody?
For those of you who have not listened before, the Players Take is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. So let's jump right into it. Actually, I forgot one thing. We post at 6 a.m. on Tuesdays.
Yeah, we were a little late last
week. Not this week, though.
That was my fault.
We're gonna hit this week. It's all Montrell's fault.
Yeah, it was my fault.
It's nothing we could do anything about, so sorry about that again. We're gonna be on time this week, though. So
I think you've been pretty consistent the last, 10 weeks? Yeah.
Well, we've only been going for 11, so let's, we did miss a week, remember?
Oh, yeah. Okay, 9 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I was broken, and I don't even remember where you were. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
We're getting off topic. What have you been playing?
All right, so I'm gonna start with the good.
You got some interesting little comments here in the document this week.
I'm gonna start with the good stuff, man. Lighten it up. I've been playing some more Xenoblade Chronicles X, and at the time of this recording, Devil May Cry 5 has came out. So as soon as we get done recording, probably not gonna play it tonight because I'm playing PUBG with you guys.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm probably not gonna play it till Sunday because my girlfriend's coming over tomorrow.
Yep.
So
sad.
Yeah. Anyway, or Monday, but Anthem. I retired from Anthem because
we're gonna talk about Anthem some more. We'll get more into it later in the show.
The grind is just not real in that game, in my opinion. Like I was talking to one of our other friends who plays with us, and he still likes it, and I'm glad he still likes it. I like the game. It's just that I like to fight bosses, and like I like to have different things happening with that boss, like you know, different mechanics and stuff like that. And Anthem doesn't really have that right now for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
why I was able to play Destiny so long, because the raids or the strikes were at least interesting to keep me over.
Yeah.
And I uninstalled League of Legends last night. I was done. It was too toxic for me. That was it.
Yeah, you'll be back in like 2 days.
Probably, but
guarantee you go home, first thing you do is reinstall.
Yeah.
Man, what happened? Come on, dude. Did you have a bad game? People yell at you? Was the internet mean to you, Montrell?
I had a couple bad games.
And people were mean to you?
Yeah, I mean...
Or was it did you just have bad games?
I just had I mute everyone. So
okay.
I mute everyone, but I had some really bad games and some shitty teammates.
What was it, like 1-15 or...
Yeah, I would go like 10-5 and stuff like that, or like 10-3, and the rest of my team. I had to carry my team, but it's hard to do that when
you're just so good.
No,
I'm not so good at League.
I'm not
man.
good.
Yeah,
I'm fucking silver. But
what a pro over here. This guy, man.
I fucking studied this game, all right?
So you uninstalled because your teammates suck.
I don't know if League has some kind of system in place. I can win like 5 games in a row, right?
Yeah.
And then they just team me up with shitty teammates for like the next 10 games.
This is a thing. Okay, so I went through this with Warcraft 3 back in the day. Warcraft 3, Blizzard was trying to figure out their matchmaking when Warcraft 3 was out. And the way they implemented a system that was really highly controversial when it came out, because what they would do is they would match you. The matchmaking is literally trying to constantly figure out how good you are. So what the game would do, it would match you against somebody. It would just match you against somebody randomly, and depending on how you did against that person, it would start to do other things to fill in where you are. So say you got fucking dominated by somebody, like they're just absolutely obliterated you. You can't even kill a unit. Like they're so good. So what it would do next, it would go against somebody that it knows is really, really shitty, and it would match you against that person. Then you would dominate that person. So then it would be like, okay, so you're somewhere in the middle. So it'd go in the middle of there, and then depending on that. So it would keep going back and forth. So eventually you play enough games where it kind of knows how good you are, but you're getting a little better maybe, and you win like 5 in a row, and it's like, oh man, you're really good now. Oh shit. So it like throws you up against somebody that's like way better than the people you've been playing against. I don't know if League does this and Dota does this, but I feel like some of these matchmaking systems do things like that sometimes, and that might be what you're experiencing, because dude, it's like it is really jarring when you'll have those days where you'll win a bunch of games, or maybe you won a bunch of games the last time you played, and then you'll have a night where all you do is lose, and everybody you're playing against is amazing, and your teammates are fucking awful. Trash. And it's like,
but that's the thing that's so weird about it, because like I don't understand how they match you up with your teammates, because like,
well, it's trying to probably make a balanced team around like, it's not trying to match you with people of equal skill level to you. It's probably trying to make an aggregate skill level that's equal between both teams.
Which is terrible.
Which is probably a bad way to do it, because you're going to have disparities where maybe you're really good, but then you have two teammates who are fucking terrible, or they're newer to the game and aren't as great, and it's like... I don't know. I'm kind of speculating because I don't know really for sure, but that's kind of my feeling on how they do it.
Yeah,
based on what I've played in Dota. But
I decided to. I won a couple of games, and I decided to like match up, do duos with some randoms.
Yeah.
Because like either after I win, people are like, oh, you're good, let me duo with you and stuff like that. So we have like team chat in the game with that other person, and I noticed that a lot of them really don't know what they're doing. Like when I talk to them, like a lot of them really don't understand the intricacies of League of Legends. And like I said, I've been studying this game for about 3 years, so I've been watching like pro plays, I've been doing VODs, and had people fucking rate my gameplay, because at one point I was going to take this game really seriously, where I can start streaming it and possibly make money off of it. So I was really into it.
Yeah.
And
then you thought better of it.
Then I thought, then I was just like, nah, I'm not about to. When I started climbing, then that's why I thought like this game is really bad. And when you look at the thing about League of Legends is when you try to like go to forums and things of that nature, some of the people are helpful, but everyone's like, oh, you should be able to climb out of silver and gold and plat because that's low elo. You're just bad at the game. And it's like, bro, I can admit when I do bad, like when I go 1-9, I can admit that. Yeah. But jungling is so dynamic in the way it works. It's way different from laning. Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to be all up on this all day, but it's just hard when you try to say like, you don't want to say in the league community the worst thing you can say is my team is bad. But what if your team really is bad for 4 games in a row and you're like, and you just question some of the moves they make? You're like, why would you make that move?
Well, you're one player. There's only so much you can do sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when you're playing solo with matchmaking, I mean, it's just a grab bag. You're on the lottery ticket, man. You lost the matchmaking lottery, man.
And like, that's what I think with high elo people. I think they got really good or just got really lucky with. I mean, they may be personal skill. They may be really good. Yeah. But I feel like I don't think I should be diamond tier, but I feel like I should be platinum because.
No, I mean, there's a certain amount. Like one person in a MOBA, particularly League and Dota, can have a very large impact on the match if they're overwhelmingly better than everybody else in the match. Like it can make a difference.
I mean, you can tell, but if it's a Smurf account or not. But I don't know. It's just weird. Some champions can have that ability to just carry the game, and then some champions, even though you're like really good with them, you can be the best support in the game, but you can't carry the whole team.
Well, I mean, playing support. I mean, you can only do so much, dude. Like, your carries have to be able to farm. Like, if they can't hit last hits and like get money faster than the enemy team, then it's not going to matter.
And
right?
I feel like the jungle is a secondary support in that game.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've gathered from playing with you guys. What the current meta looks like.
Yeah, I mean
that seems to be what. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and they say you can carry from the jungle. Which is why I actually started playing jungle, because I've had so many bad jungling experiences when I was a laner. Yeah. But it's just like you can't carry from the jungle. Like you can go 20-1, and if your team doesn't understand macros and how to get certain towers down and lane pushing, then you just lose the game, and it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean that is the disjointed experience of MOBAs. That's why I don't really play them alone anymore, because you're gonna have games that are just trash. Like, it's not a fun experience. I'm not saying that the teammates are bad or that the other players are just too good or matchmaking's fucked up. Like, literally, the experience is so disjointed where people are like so out of sync with each other that the game is just not playing properly. Like, you're not seeing people make moves that make sense. They're just playing out of rhythm with the rest of their team or the opponent. Like, the other problem is I don't enjoy playing MOBAs when I do win, like where you steamroll. I don't like being the one steamrolling either. I want a competitive game that's like back and forth. That's what I want out of a MOBA. That's when it's the most fun. So when it's a steamroll in either direction, the game's just like, it's a waste of everybody's time.
But the thing is, like, a game can go on for about an hour. And I feel bad when I do win, like, an hour-long game. Yeah. I feel bad for the other team because they just played this game for an hour and they lost. Yeah. And it's like...
But if it was competitive, I don't mind that. It's just the situation where the other team feels like there's never a shred of hope that they're ever going to win the game.
Yeah,
and they're playing for 45 minutes. I mean, that just sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that's just demotivating, dude. It's like, that happens in Dota a lot, because Dota doesn't have a surrender feature. So you're just stuck in the match, because if you leave, you get flagged for leaving early. So you're kind of just stuck, and it's a weird situation. I understand, like, I was talking about my friend, we played turbo mode, and I didn't like turbo mode. I understand why he plays it, though, because we had nights, I remember we would play together, we'd have nights where, dude, we'd play like 5 games over the course of 5 hours, or 6 or 7 games, maybe some nights, and 6 out of the 7 were just trash heap games where we get steamrolled, or we steamroll the opponents or something like that, and it's just like we have like one game that's good, that's actually fun and enjoyable.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the issue is when you get to a certain skill level with the game, it's you're looking for that competitive experience, but the matchmaking does such a poor job sometimes of putting the teams together that you don't. It's not the game. The people you're playing with. It's just impossible for that fun experience to come out of the combination of people. You know?
And I think the simple fact that I have to mute all as the position I'm in, is really detrimental to the game. Like, I realized a lot of things last night just playing the game. Why MOBAs in general are so toxic. Why it's hard to get into. Yeah. Not only because like the 45-minute games and you put all this effort into playing.
Well, all the learning you have to do.
And you apply it. You can learn your position and how other positions play all you want to. But if the other person next to you doesn't know how to do anything, then that can just be as detrimental as this. Or, say like I'm a jungler and I do go 1-10, or I see that, like, okay, last night, for instance, I went against a jungler. He went 1-8. Mm-hmm. I was a jungler. I was dominating him. There's nothing he can do about it. Yeah. And at the end of the game, people were just flaming him. And I'm like, bro, I understand you had a bad game. I'm not going to flame you. And I was just trying, even at his other team, I was like, yo, just chill out. Like, he had a bad game. No one came to help him. Yeah. No one collapsed on me when I was invading his jungle. None of y'all did anything. Yeah. And he went 1-9 because none of you guys helped him. Yeah. So it's stuff like that people need to understand that you can carry the game. I think the word carry gets thrown around in that genre too much. Because it's ultimately a team game. Yeah, you can play basketball or football, and you do have a carrier star player who can carry the team. But he needs his other teammates to do that. Yeah,
it's not like you can take the other people out of the game and he'll win by himself.
Exactly.
That's still not possible. Like, so I get what you're saying. I think with MOBAs, when I do play, the thing I kind of focus on is try to just literally play the best game I can. And just forget about everybody else. Like, I can't make other people play better, Yeah, it's not possible.
You are absolutely correct, but I can't. Me screaming and shouting at that person is not going to make them play better.
No, and I think that's the part of the equation that poisons the well.
Yeah, right
is that
there.
People do that. And it doesn't help anybody. It's not going to make that person play better. It's not going to make you feel better yelling at them. And it's going to make the game worse for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So I think if that element was just taken out of the equation, if people were just nicer, I think the experience would be better.
It would, because I feel like it's a great team building exercise.
It is, absolutely.
But it's just to work when I do meet a team, or when you just match up with randoms, because it is single, queue.
Yeah.
And you meet those group of people that we all just click together. It sucks that you can't just be like, hey, let's just all take this ranked team and climb together, because it's like you can't do that, and you can't do that. So
no, I mean, that's why I want to play with you guys in one of these games, or with the people I know too, and just make a team of 5. Because, dude, if we could get a group of 5 together and we could learn together and come up with strategies together and play against other teams of 5, because that's how the matchmaking works in these games. If you come in with a pre-made, they always try to match you with another pre-made.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's where I think the game could be fun again, is that we're together. We're not going to flame each other, right? Because we're friends. tensions might rise here and there, you know, if we have a few bad games in a row or whatever, but we're never gonna like fucking tell each other to go fuck off, die in a fire or whatever, you know. It's like it's never gonna get to that level.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I wanted to get a group of us to play together, because that's
at
the
this point,
fun of the experience.
If we can get a group of 5 to play Dota, I would definitely do that.
Yeah, because we can formulate strategies, we can teach each other the game. Like, there's so much shit that I can teach you in Dota that, like, I can watch you play though, and play with you, and figure out what you're kind of missing, and try to help you figure that out. And the same thing with League with you guys and me, right?
Yeah.
You know, because that's the thing with MOBAs is like, dude, there are certain characters that I know how to play in Dota, and I know how to play them really well, but there's still things I can improve.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm an expert in anything in that game, and I never will. That game's so complicated and it's so hard. I feel like I can always get better. That's just the reality of it. But you need to be in an environment that fosters that, right? Yeah. So if you're in this toxic environment where people are yelling at you, or you're yelling at them, or they're yelling at other people that it's not you, it's just like, it just takes away from everything, right? You're like, you stop being focused on the game and being focused on improving, and you become focused on a bunch of bullshit that's unrelated to the fucking game. You know, so I understand the frustration, man. I'm sure you will be back, though.
I mean, I probably will. It's just like, I know people probably like, why would you go back? Because the game, Dota and like League are very interesting team games. Because
they're just special games.
Yeah, it's like the greatest comparison I can give it to is like a live action chess game. Like but you're the pieces. You're just one piece on the board. You're not controlling the whole board. So it's just really cool, like, to figure out what your other opponent might do and then outthink them, or they outthink you. Like, oh, that's a good idea. That's cool. Like, it's just really cool to do that, and with the characters and the rosters that you have. But I don't know. I just think I need to take a break from it, and I'm doing that. So
fair enough. All right. Well, I mean, since the last episode, we've only had like 3 days. I have not had a lot of time to play much. I've really been mostly playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, about 4 hours of that or so. Given the nature of the game, that's not a lot of time in it. I haven't really gotten too much further. I will say, as the more I play, I just marvel at Monolith Soft's ability to craft an interesting environment. To like play, to like walk around in. Man, those motherfuckers over there know how to build an open world, man.
Yeah, they do.
It's crazy. Well, dude, when you look at the list of things they've worked on too, dude, Nintendo uses them for fucking everything.
They do?
Yeah, dude, they've helped on the list of games they've helped on is nuts. Like they helped Nintendo build Breath of the Wild, like the world of Breath of the Wild.
I can believe that.
And and that's like one of the best parts of Breath of the Wild is the world, and I can believe that they were part of that. They've also helped with like Smash Brothers, the last like 2 Smash Brothers games. Actually, I think the last 3 Smash Brothers games. They've helped like with polish and stuff.
Okay.
They help Nintendo in just a bunch. They're like Nintendo's like master tool or something. Like
okay.
They just help. They just grab them and they're like, hey, we need help with this, and they just help them. It's like it's actually hurt some of their games, and I heard that it hurt Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a little bit. Like they had to split their studio up a little bit to help Nintendo out with some stuff, and it ended up detrimenting that game. But it's weird because the game's still good, like really good. It
sold really well too.
Yeah, and people still really like it, so you can't really tell. They're just that good of a studio, though, and it's interesting. They're small, dude. They're like they only have like 170
Are you
or
serious?
180 employees. Yeah, they're nuts. They have 3 offices too in Japan. They just opened a 3rd one, I think, last year.
They just opened up a 3rd one.
And a year before, I was reading that in July they were at 170 employees. July of last year, and then the year before that they were only 130. So they've expanded big time in the course of the last couple of years.
So they made like 2 masterpieces with only 130 people, or 100,
even less potentially. And that's what I'm marveling at. And the fact that Nintendo's letting them grow actually is really encouraging, because I think I don't know. I've been thinking about Monolith Soft a lot lately. Dude, their library of games is nuts. The shit they've made over the years.
They did Baten Kaitos,
They made
right?
Baten Kaitos Origins, all the Xenosaga games. They made those. Like, dude,
and those are all masterpieces.
Yeah, all these games are like JRPG fucking masterpieces.
Yeah.
This studio is amazing. Like, they're probably my favorite dev studio on the planet right now. Like, I am so excited for the shit they're working on. They're working on 2 games, supposedly, right now.
Okay.
One is the next Xenoblade game, whatever that is, and then some sort of fantasy new IP.
Okay.
Like some sort of fantasy IP. So I'm really excited to see what they're working on next. I kind of went on a tangent here, but
it's all good.
I've been thinking about them a lot because I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 again.
It actually kind of ties in with the topic of the day.
Yeah, well, I'm going to bring them up again when we get into the topic of the show too, because the difference between the two is stark. Yeah, it's very stark. I also played a little PUBG. But I did notice some stuff, kind of rumors, kind of came out on the subreddit this week for PUBG.
Oh for PUBG. Shit! They mad?
And it ended up getting confirmed. No, not a new map, but it got confirmed by PUBG Corp this week that they are remastering some of the old maps, Erangel and I think Miramar in particular.
Thank fucking God.
Well, the Reddit fucking
hates it, of course.
Hated it, of course. Like,
those maps need to be remastered.
Dude, like, so they're gonna add some compounds to Erangel, I think.
Thank God.
People were freaking out about it because they think it's gonna change it and turn it into like Sanhok, where there's like a fucking compound every like 5 feet. That is not what's happening. Erangel's a huge map. They're adding a lot of buildings, but I think it will make the map better because the map I like Erangel. It's just an annoying map sometimes that really typifies some of the problems with PUBG, where you will loot several compounds and you will come out with a fucking Uzi and a shotgun, and then you'll just die to somebody that is a Kar 98, and you're just like, well, that was a great waste of 15 minutes. You know
what? I think Erangel is really good for that mode 50 on 50. I play that mode solo with without you guys sometime. Like, 'cause I like that. I always thought like, I didn't know that mode existed. I was like, man, PUBG would be cool if we had like a 50 on 50 mode.
Well, I think the other issue with this map is that the engagements can get really boring sometimes because it's a very flat map.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of variations in some space. Like, there's large sections of this map that are just open fields. You know, and there's like some trees and you know, a rock or two, you know, and it's like it's I'm not saying it doesn't have enough cover. The map has a very distinct feel compared to the other maps. It's just sometimes you get into these long range peekaboo fests where you're literally peeking left and right around a tree against somebody else who's peeking left and right against a tree, and it's kind of boring. You're not. So, I don't know. The engagements aren't great.
So just being like, you know, going to school for gaming, things of that nature. The reason I hate both Miramar and Erangel so much is because they don't have. I wasn't a level designer, but I was on the team with the level designer, and he taught me, like, I had to make my own map for a class, and he taught me everything about map design and everything like that. The thing about those two maps is they don't flow well. The buildings in Miramar, for example, are completely random. They don't tell the player where you should be going, or they don't encourage players to go into certain areas and congregate there. The reason why I think Vikendi and Sandhawk in particular are so good is because even though each house has something there for you. Like, you get rewarded for going and checking out the house. Yeah. On top of that, every time we get into an engagement, I notice about Vikendi, we're either in that big ass city, the little villa town, or we're in the mountains, or we're in one of the side cities. The map kind of flows you to those cities. Yeah. And Sandhawk, we're always in Pine-Eye. We're always on the little hills where the trees are at, because everyone's like, oh, that's the most cover. I'm going to go into the hills. Yeah. We always get into an engagement there. We never get into engagement out in the open. Yeah. Whereas with Erangel, like you said yourself, huge field. It's only small parts, small blimps of the map where there's areas to go into.
And I think a lot of people would say, like, find vehicles, but dude, sometimes seriously, this happens a lot on Erangel, and it's really frustrating. Where dude, we've gone to Zarky sometimes, and we will run down the road
exactly
halfway to Severny, and there's not a single fucking vehicle spawned. It's just bonkers. And we'll split up too. It's not like we're all running down the same road. I'll run down towards Georgia Pole. You'll run to Severny, and then Jet will run like fucking through like the middle or some shit, and it's like we don't find a single vehicle between the three of us, and then all of a sudden we're just running the circle, and it's like you're chasing the circle all game, and you're just running through fields. It's like it's just, I don't know. And the lack of, I think I'm actually starting to like Erangel the least, because the engagements are the most boring on that map. Because, like I said, it's just that peekaboo fest. Yeah. Like, the other maps, including Miramar, actually have kind of topology on them that allows you to be more
strategic.
You can reposition yourself better on those maps. I will say that about
Miramar. It does have that verticality to it.
Well, it has a lot of verticality, and you're not using rocks and trees for cover. You're kind of using the actual landscape for cover, which is what I like about that map, where you're kind of like you're using an entire like peak as your like a lip of a hill, right? To cover yourself. So you'll pop up over here, and then you could run to the other side of the hill and pop up on the other side to fire at the guy. Whereas with Erangel, there really isn't that. It's not really a thing on that map. It's you're just hiding behind trees and rocks. Like it's just so running from point to point, like you're in the open at certain points, and
then the circle always ends in the middle of a field, and
so a lot of the time, and if it ends on buildings, the people in buildings a lot of the time they just win. Yeah, if they have a sight line, you're done.
Because it ends up being like everyone prone in the grass, which is cool, but it's like
not
it's boring.
Fun though. Like Sanhok and Vikendi, I like the most because the engagements are really exciting on those maps because people are going in and out of buildings, you're ducking around hills and rocks and trees, and it's just and like Sanhok in particular, it's really hard to get people from a distance on that map because there's so many trees. And they're so like. The way they're low enough, like the foliage is low enough where you can't see people from a distance, so you have to get up close, and I like that element of that map. I think it just changes the way PUBG's played in a good way. You know,
that map encourages you to run into
constant
stuff.
movement too, and that's another thing I think that's good for PUBG. Where Erangel's a lot of just sitting around, and
that's why I say the flow of the map. Like the flow of the map doesn't encourage you because we could be looting in a zone for about 10 minutes before if we're in the circle. We can loot in the same zone or run around for like 10 minutes. We don't have to wait for anything, and just nothing happens. You know, whereas
nobody comes to us because nobody needs to. The game's not pushing you. Well, also you're not rewarded for going into complexes because the loot's so shitty on that map that, dude, like. You don't. What's the point of going to the next complex so I can find another Uzi? Like, okay, great. You know,
I think that's one thing a lot of these looter shooters have over PUBG right now is because every time I go into a map in like say Apex for instance, I do come out with somewhat of a decent weapon. Like I can do something.
Well, Sanhok's like that though.
That's what I'm saying. Right? They need more maps because I dread every time. Like I'm like, oh, we're about to go on Erangel. Like I like Erangel landscape, but I hate the loot.
No, and I do have an issue. Like a lot of people want to come out of every complex with their perfect loadout every game. I don't want that. That's not what I want. I just want to be able to fight. You know?
Exactly.
And dude, on a map where long range is super important, like Erangel, like coming out of a complex without a scope with a fucking like Uzi and an you know, it's like that is not. I just want to quit. At that point, like I don't even want to play the game out because what's the fucking point, you know? Unless I get lucky and come up on a team, you know, randomly, you're just gonna lose. So that map, I think the key thing with that map is you just need more long range stuff. Like scopes need to be more prevalent on the map. Like on Sanhok, for instance, we find scopes all the time in that map. You don't even need them sometimes. Like you don't even need a scope.
We don't.
You know, because it's so short range.
That's why I just the way they design Erangel and Miramar. That's why I just say like it's so backwards to me.
I'm happy they're going back and looking at this. You know. Because I think the map does need work, and I think if you think it doesn't need work, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's
Reddit would definitely disagree with you.
I mean, I know they would. People think this map's like perfect, but the game is really stilted on Erangel. Like the rhythm of the matches is just really stupid. Like you don't run into people for fucking like Jet and I were playing duos the other night. That night you couldn't get on. And, dude, we got to top 25 every game we played. But we ended up dying by 15 every single game we played. Because the matches were like, we would land, and we wouldn't be near anybody. And then we'd go for 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden, we'd run into a firefight with somebody. And we'd fight them, and we'd kill them, or we'd lose. And even if we killed them, then the circle... Because the way those circles work sometimes on that map, where you'll have groups of people that are really close to each other on one side of the circle, and that's what was happening to us. We were getting into a firefight, we were killing the team we were fighting, and then another team would instantly start fighting us, and was killing us every single time. And it just seems like the flow of players sometimes is really off, you know? It's like, you're not dispersed, and
because like when they do the circle... I feel like it should be in some kind of correlation to the flight path.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be.
Yeah.
But they don't do that. Sometimes
they don't do that at all.
The flight path will be way on the top of the map, and then the
circle's on the bottom of military base.
Yeah, you're like, what?
Yeah, so everybody's just and that's the other issue, is that map's so big, and Miramar I got this problem as well, is that the map is so big that if that happens to you, you're just trying to find a vehicle.
Yeah.
You're not even looting, you're like barely even looting. You're just getting as much gun, like any gun you can find.
And I think the point of Miramar was to promote like a Mad Max feeling. That's the feeling I do get. But it's not enough vehicles. It's not enough.
Firing out of a vehicle is such a
trash
heap anyway. It's like you're not running around running and gunning people or doing drive-bys on anybody.
Yeah, like if you want us to do that, then maybe the vehicles themselves need to have some kind of machine gun functionality or something.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That
would be cool. Actually,
yeah, you can't use it unless you find ammo for it.
Like a minigun buggy or something. Yeah,
you can't use it if you don't have ammo for it. So that's how they can balance it. But and the ammo weighs twice as much as other ammo or some shit like that. But
the other problem with Miramar is that the way driving on that map off-road is awful, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I know they added the dirt roads way back, but sometimes it doesn't make sense to go down those because they're not close enough to the direction you're trying to go.
Yeah.
You have to go too far out of your way to hit those. And driving across that map can be such a beatdown, man.
Yeah, that's why I don't drive.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, everybody's playing Sanhok Vikendi. Like, we barely get... I don't think we played Miramar in like 2 weeks. Seriously, like nobody plays that map. It's just like when you're playing quick play, unless you specifically click on Miramar to play it.
I think we played it one time because we had snakes.
Yeah.
With us. So I think we played it one time. Okay. But besides that, we just been getting Sanhok and Vikendi.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, anyways, I also played a little Wargroove, but like an hour. Not much more to say about it. Okay, moving on to news.
Hey.
So we had some decent news this week. First big one. This one kind of excited a lot of people. EA is going to be skipping their E3 press conference this year. They're still going to be having an event where they're going to be doing live streams and kind of showing their games in depth, but no actual press conference. So, what are your feelings on this?
After that shit show of a press conference last year, I'm not too surprised because that 10 minutes of Command & Conquer mobile, or not, Command & Conquer, right?
Yeah, it was Command & Conquer.
Pissed a lot of people off, and I'm pretty sure the investors didn't like that, at all. In the backlash they're getting, and then they showed Anthem, but I mean they had an Anthem it was like a podcast pretty much or a panel. They didn't show any.
That was really awkward, dude. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and everyone was like, "Okay, you guys."
No, I remember that was actually the moment that de-hyped me about Anthem.
Me too.
I remember how lame that felt. Like they made the game sound so boring. It was like really bad. I mean, I'm not gonna miss EA at E3. I think
I don't know why they had a press conference.
I don't either. They should just show their shit at Microsoft's and what would have been Sony's.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that came out of this for me is I saw some people on Twitter kind of saying that E3 is kind of like a relic of the past, and they think this is the beginning of the end of E3 is like a.
I think
event.
it is. I think Gamescom is going to be the next thing.
I just think that I think it's kind of short-sighted. I know the industry has really mixed feelings on this event, particularly from the developer standpoint, where they have to waste a lot of time making vertical slices of shit for just specifically to show at E3. But dude, the amount of excitement that I personally get out of E3 is higher than any other event that happens in gaming in the year. You know, I am more excited about E3 than anything else. It's something that I specifically think about throughout the year. You know, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we're 3 months out from it, dude. But
I will disagree with you on that. But continue your thoughts.
Okay. Well, I really enjoy E3 announcements. I know it's a pain in the ass, but the thing is, I think the short-sightedness of it to me is that I think these companies get way too obsessed with trying to blow our minds, you know? They're trying to show us these announcements and like announce games that we don't know about and show us these vertical slices of games that look like the game we all want, you know, this amazing experience. And we've run into these issues like with Anthem where they show us shit that's not really going to ever be in the game, you know? And this happens way too much. What I want out of E3 is I want them to announce shit and show me reality. What is reality of your game? You know, like what is it actually going to look like?
So that's where I was going to disagree with you on why I don't get really hyped for E3 anymore. is because they do show vertical slices too much.
Yeah.
Like we've been getting it. To me, it was the beginning of a downfall in I think 2012 E3.
Yeah,
with Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
Well, it happened with Watch Dogs. BioShock Infinite was another one.
Yeah.
And it's been happening more.
It's been happening more and more
over time.
And people are like, show us the actual game instead of showing us like, this simulated gameplay that you guys have. Like, I hate the comment that's under in-game engine. Like, just show me the actual game, how it's going to run on my PS4.
Yeah, literally the interface in the game.
Like, that's what people want to see. And I feel like people are going to be like, oh, that shit looks trash or something like that. But no, I think people will be more open to an actual gameplay type thing, like a realistic,
honesty. Yeah. Like, don't show me the game. Don't show me the game that you put on paper that you're trying to like ambitiously make, because that game, you're never going to make that game. That game almost never comes out,
Exactly.
Like, unless you're given the time. Yeah.
And Anthem is, like you said, a perfect example of that.
100%. Oh my God.
Like, when we all saw that game, the first thing that came in my mind, I was like, this game looks really cool. But how much is that? Like, that's on everybody's mind every time we see a gameplay trailer. Yep. Like, even what's it called? Ghost of Tsushima or something like that?
Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah.
Tsushima. Like, I'm like, how much? I mean, that studio is pretty good, though. That studio is pretty good.
There's a few exceptions to this. I think Sony studios are an exception to this.
Yeah,
because Sony allows them to make the game they show.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say that. I'm like, really that's rare. An exception where they rarely, downgrade the graphics or something like that.
Yep.
But even still, though, just from like all my other personal experience or bad experiences, it's like how much of this is really going to be in game, bro? Like, how much of this is simulated? How much of this is going to get taken out and things of that nature? Yeah. That's what I really like about Nintendo's games.
I was going to mention
Nintendo, they're straight to the point. They show you gameplay, and that's the game you're going to get.
Yeah.
Like,
they don't lie about what the game is.
They rarely change. I know when Breath of the Wild was kind of revealed, they changed a little bit of the landscape and stuff like that, but no one could really tell the difference.
Who cares? It looked like the same. It looked like the game. It
looked like the game you shown. Yeah. So that's why I do like Nintendo, because they're open and honest with it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you can't change things.
Oh yeah,
of course things are going to change in development. That's obvious, right? Like, it's just the way you show a game. You don't like the way Anthem was shown is bullshit. Like,
yes,
that is straight up garbage. The way they showed that game at E3 2017, they were showing a game that was literally never ever going to happen.
Yes,
and they should know that. I'm sure they knew it at the time, or maybe they didn't. I don't know. We don't know what happened with Anthem specifically, but there's other ones that happened too, like Aliens, Colonial Marines. We all fucking know that one, right?
Fuck.
Fallout 76.
The Division.
Division's another one.
So yeah, that's Ubisoft is a real victim of that.
Yeah.
They showed this this is how it's going to be played in game.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you logged on? Let's play the game. And then they play it, and it's like simulated. I'm like, bro, we don't talk like that to each other at all.
But dude, Fallout 76 is another big red flag game for that, because dude, if you go look at the promotional material from E3 for Fallout 76, it is fucking ridiculous what Todd Howard was saying about that game. Like, he was like we're pulling every studio to fucking work on this game.
ID Software, we got them.
Yeah, we got them, and we're fucking, this is a Bethesda Game Studios game, and like, dude, it's unbelievable the shit they were saying about that game.
Yeah. They treat it like
they're trying to hype people, dude.
They treat it like an auto show. Like, you ever went to an auto show? Like, that's what it is. Like, it's like the video game auto show. And every time I watch E3, I'm like, man, this is like the auto show. Which one's the concept car and which one's actually going to come out?
Yeah, yeah.
And usually the cars in the auto show that actually come out are like tucked off way in the back of the auto show. You're like, oh, okay, this car's actually coming out.
Well, so too, like, for me, if you don't have enough of your game made that's stable, that you can show at a conference that you feel confident is actually going to get people excited, then don't show your game.
Exactly.
If it's not ready to show until 6 months before release, then don't show it until 6 months before release. You can announce that it's being made, but
I think one game did crash. They showed one actual game and it crashed. I can't remember the game. It was
that happens sometimes.
Yeah, but that's if the gameplay was cool up until that point, then I know people are going to be like, oh, look at the game, it crashed, but I don't know.
What though? I think the thing is, those of us who are actually ingrained in this industry and like really into it, we understand that your game's not fully fucking optimized, 2 years before it's coming out. Like, I understand that you're still working on that shit, trying to get everything under control and figure out what you need. So I don't mind that happening in the middle of a conference. Like, obviously, if it's like crashing and doing all sorts of shit, that does look bad. But it's still, I still kind of don't.
It's more honest to me.
It's just honest though. It's more honest than what we get sometimes. Yeah. And I also think that the way we as consumers kind of look at this stuff actually needs to change too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because. We get. I've talked about hype culture before. I think we both have, right?
Jesus
How out of
Christ,
control it gets. Yeah. I think we all need to like slow down for a second and be like, look, we want to get the best products we can. We don't want Anthem to happen, right? I don't want Anthem to be a thing. Like, I don't want it to come out in that state. It shouldn't come out in that state. Fallout 76 is another one. Like, games shouldn't come out that way. They should not be released and charged for that way. So maybe we should just slow down and not hype these games the way we do sometimes, and temper our expectations. It's like you were saying, you're not excited about E3 because that a lot of the time this shit is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
That games are going to get downgraded and features are going to get taken out. That.
Yeah, I've been watching this shit for 15 years.
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen.
And if we all did that, if we were all honest about that, and then the developers were honest with us and the publishers were honest with us, I feel like we just having a better environment for this stuff to come out in.
I just feel like they do it for... I don't even know what it is. Like, maybe because the games have been bigger.
They just want to whip people into a frenzy, dude.
Yeah, like, and I understand it, but it's just... At the same time, when they showed... I'm trying to think when they showed Nier Automata. We saw that at Gamescom, I think.
Yeah.
And when I saw that game, that was actual gameplay footage.
Yes.
And I was like... Yeah, this is the game I'm gonna buy.
Yep.
Like, like when they show gameplay footage, like they showed Devil May Cry, the DMC Devil May Cry at E3, and I remember people hated it.
Yep.
And they didn't even show gameplay footage, but they showed gameplay footage at Gamescom. I'm like, you know what? I'm still gonna give it a try.
Yeah.
The reason people like Gamescom is because that's where they show gameplay footage, and developers are more willing to show it because it's a smaller conference.
Yeah, it's
so
not as
a lot of eyes are not on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I feel like that's what E3 needs to kind of go back. You can show some gameplay trailers. I mean, we're all going to get hyped for trailers.
Yeah.
But I feel like the majority of the conference needs to be gameplay. And let's stop this talking shit. Like, I don't care if Alicia Tyler comes out and is like, hey guys, what's up? I don't care if Snoop Dogg comes out and is like, hey guys, I don't care if 2 Chainz, I don't care if Blink 182 come out. They're not gonna make
Snoop Dogg coming up, man. I love that, man. He's just chilling, man. He's just like, what up, guys?
Yeah, you don't need to spend that much money just to get an appearance.
I mean, look, if Snoop Dogg came out and did like the Ubisoft conference, I mean,
I'm down for that.
I'm down for that.
Snoop Dogg came out and was like, yo, this new Star Fox game coming out. Oh, okay.
This is looking dope.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
I'm in, dude. Yeah. I'm in on that. But no, I'm with you though. I understand what you're saying. Where they get all these like fancy fucking people to make this presentation cool, quote unquote. Like no.
Do you know your audience?
Yeah,
I don't think you know your audience.
Stop it. What I want you to do, I want you to come out and tell me how the fucking strength values impact fucking defense. Like how strength and defense, like how damage is calculated. That's what I want.
You want to give me fucking hype? Bring out Shigeru Miyamoto on a non-Nintendo game.
Yeah.
He fucking signs off on your non-Nintendo game. He's like, yo, I played this game. This shit's dope. No, and I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Like, dude, I want them to come out and be granular. Like, go into the granular detail how their game works.
Yes.
Like, that's what I
want. They used to do stuff like that.
And I think it's become so, like it's almost like sports. Like, the way sports is, where it's like, it's all fucking hype. And then the game happens and it's a shit show. You know, like the Super Bowl this year is like, it's hype.
Oh,
and it's the worst fucking game you've ever seen. It's like they do this in video games, too. And I don't... Like, that's my point about the honesty, right? I want to know what your game is actually about, you know?
Yes.
And dude, have you ever noticed when you watch like TV, like actual televised TV, where you see commercials for video games, like football, or like you're watching a sport or something, and you see commercials for video games, and they literally don't show gameplay at all for a millisecond. They don't show any gameplay. It's like a 30-second trailer, a minute trailer. They don't show a single ounce of gameplay. It's like you're trying to sell your product to somebody. I don't understand how that works on anyone. Like, dude, Fallout is the worst about this. Did you see those commercials for Fallout 76?
Yeah.
They're fucking awful. They don't show the gameplay at all. They literally show a pre-rendered cinematic cutscene that they made specifically for television. That's not even in the fucking game.
And I thought we moved past that.
Yeah, and it's just so shallow and bullshit, and I hate it. It drives me fucking nuts.
I feel like our graphics are better. Like, that used to work back in the day. Like,
yeah,
on
for
Final
like Smash
Fantasy.
Brothers on N64 or something.
Like, you remember the Final Fantasy 7 commercials?
No, but
okay, I remember Parasite Eve is one.
Yeah.
So Parasite Eve, they didn't show the RPG element or nothing. They showed all the cutscenes in the game. Like one where the main villain, I forgot her name, she was fighting the fighter jets, and they showed that part, and then they showed the main character with the gun, and they just showed it look action packed. And I bought the game based off that. I'm like only like 10 or 11 or something like that. So I buy it, and I'm like, oh, this is actually an RPG game. Like, and I liked it, but it wasn't what I expected because the trailer show or the commercial show none of that.
Well, they're
shit.
trying to trick you, right?
Yeah,
and it's like it's really shady. and I severely dislike it. And I think they approach E3 the same way. They don't want you to see the underbelly of their game, you know?
Like, yeah, maybe it is a deep system. I know some players don't like that, but there are a ton of people who do like deep gameplay.
Dude, if you come at me and you've got all these complicated attribute systems.
We already know you like that shit.
Dude, I'm in, baby. I'm in, bro. Yeah, let me in, because, man, dude, I'm all about that shit. So, I don't know. I mean... it's complicated, but
yeah,
I don't know. EA specifically not doing a conference, I don't care. Whatever, great.
Yeah, all they're going to talk about is sports.
Sports, and whatever kind of franchise they're going to ruin with mobile next. You know, whatever, dude. So I'm not going to miss EA, but I think the idea of E3 going away, I think that might be the view within the industry, but I think the audience feels differently, and this event is for the audience now. You know, it's not really for the industry. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying with Gamescom, but that's in Germany, and I don't think a lot of companies want to have a big presence there sometimes, because it's not as there aren't as many eyes on that event, right? So it's not.
I think that's why developers.
It's not as worth their time to go there for a publisher. You know, for a publisher to go there and show a ton of shit. You know, make announcements there. You know.
Yeah, I mean. We'll see. I think even a lot of gamers are like, you know, I'm kind of done with E3. Like, because when Sony announced it and then other people announced it, and everybody's like, all right. So, because Sony, let's be honest, has had the best, you know, presentations for the last couple of years.
I mean, last year's was terrible, though.
Oh, yeah. Last year's was terrible.
Yeah, the year before, 2015 and 2016 were really good.
Yeah, really good.
Really tight. They had a lot of good announcements. They were showing shit we hadn't seen before. Yeah. Last year, they showed a bunch of games that we knew about, and they stretched them out over an hour and wasted everybody's time, and it was really annoying. And I think they would have done something similar this year. So I understand why they're out of the equation. I think the idea... I don't know. I think everybody keeps pointing to Nintendo the way Nintendo does their announcements and is like, well, I wish everybody would just do the way Directs like Nintendo does. And it's like, Nintendo knows how to do it, though. And they target their audience in a really smart way with Directs. Like, they're really focused sometimes. Like, they announce 2 days before they're about to do a Direct what the Direct is about, how long it's going to be, and what people can expect. You know, and that is literally what you get. You know?
It's direction.
Yeah.
It's directed. Like, it's literally focused, like you said. Like, when I watch Nintendo Direct, I know exactly what the fuck I'm going to get.
Well, like the Pokemon one last week. It was 7 minutes.
It was called Pokemon
and
Direct.
That was it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just Pokemon. That was it. There was nothing else. There were no frills. There was nothing.
But that's the thing. Like, a lot of these, like, I don't want to call Sony westernized, but...
Actually, I would call them that at this point.
Westernized, okay. So, like, Sony and Microsoft and things of that nature, they're so westernized, they think that, you know... Gamers are a different Western audience. Like, we're not the standard, like, no offense, like, Western sports audience or Western, you know, car audience. We have to be, like, flashy with ooh and ah and all this stuff like that. We just want to see what you give us. Like, that's what I want to see.
Well, I want to know what I'm buying.
Yeah, like... know? And they feel like they always have to trick us, like
like trick us that their game's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like and you don't have to do that. Like, you just show us the game. But Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. All right, moving on. There was a PS4 update 6.5 came out a couple days ago. This was an interesting one because it is now adding remote play for iOS devices.
Came out of fucking nowhere, too.
Yeah, this kind of came out of nowhere. This wasn't reported on. This wasn't rumored. It just kind of happened.
They kept this shit secret.
It's a really interesting timing considering the Vita's fucking production ended last week. Like, it's like Sony's like kicking the Vita out the door and then stomping on them and into the fucking ground. You know, it's like
what's really interesting about this is that Apple devices don't allow DualShock controllers to Bluetooth to them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so you can't.
That's good. So you have to use the stupid on screen
Yep.
fucking. That's pretty good. Well, I haven't had a chance to try this yet. I don't know if I'll actually do it, but I have heard that it's pretty solid actually. Like it runs pretty well if you have like a newer iOS device. So it's cool functionality. I mean, they're adding some stuff. You know, it's like it's kind of cool. I don't really know what instance I'd use this in, but I'm not so desperate to play.
It was interesting, but it's like I'm like, yeah, if I can't add my Bluetooth controller to it, then there's no point in playing it. But hey, man, if it's your cup of tea, then go about it.
Fair enough. All right, moving on. We got a little bit more of a serious story this week. So I'm sure many of you have heard about this game called Rape Day that was kind of got in the news cycle last week and has kind of been sticking around for a while, and people didn't know what Valve was going to do with this game, and eventually a couple days ago they finally made a decision. They're not allowing this game on their platform. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of everything that happened with this story. Really is more of not a surprise that Valve decided to not allow this game on. I think it was the right call. Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
I feel like so this kind of reminds me of the freedom of speech thing, because like Valve is like kind of on that thing where like, you know, you can put all your games on there.
Yeah, their whole thing is well, that's why people were monitoring this, because their whole thing is they allow basically anything on Steam.
But
you know?
Yeah, you allow anything on Steam. This is not Valve's fault, though. This is the consumer's fault or the developer's fault. Yeah. Like, there's no need to push it. Like, you don't have to be edgy. And I feel like that's what people use with, like, freedom of speech and stuff like that. They just use it to be...
as a defense.
Yeah, they use it as an edginess. They just... not even as a defense. They just want to stir up the pot for no fucking reason. Yeah. Like, there was no reason for this game to come out. Well, and it's not like it's it's not like it's trying to make a statement like, you know, rape is bad and things of that nature. No. It's actually glorifying it.
You know? This was a particular instance. This was a particular instance that I feel like was over the top. It feels like it's glorifying rape in a dark, bad way. It's
like a fantasy almost, like you're playing out some fantasy.
Which is it's messed up. It was pretty messed up from some of the shit I was reading about this game, and I think. The thing is like, we've talked about games as art before, and we consider games to be art. And the topic of rape is something that I don't feel like games should be excluded from being able to cover, right?
Mean, some games do have it, but they use it as a platform to either spread awareness or move the story forward
in an impactful way.
In an impactful way for your character.
That's not what this game's doing.
Exactly.
You're playing out some power fantasy that is just
disgusting.
Gross. Gross and disgusting, right? And I think... that's because this wouldn't be acceptable in television. This wouldn't be acceptable in TV. This wouldn't be acceptable in a book. So really,
I don't know why players are getting upset.
I don't know why people are defending this one. Yeah. Like this is one that I think is really cut and dry. And if we're gonna explore that topic of rape, it needs to be done in a really thoughtful. In a thoughtful way, you know, where you're approaching the subject matter with
movies and TV. Explored this in a thoughtful way. Yeah, some are better than others, but they do it. Yeah, and if gamers if we want to be taken seriously as an entertainment, we cannot be defending shit like this. This is what 100%. This is what
it makes us look immature.
Yeah, this is what this can start Gamergate #2 all over again, in my opinion, and gamers will be looking stupid again, because why are we defending this? This is stupid. Like this. Yeah. Oh, freedom of speech. Shut up, bro. This is not the time to use your freedom of speech. This is stupid. It's ignorance.
We should agree. Like, there's certain things that we agree on as a society. Yeah. That racism is bad, prejudice is bad, rape is bad. Yeah. Like, those aren't things that you defend, you know?
Exactly.
And this is like one of those instances like, yes, obviously it's fake. It's a fake thing. But having the player be the one to initiate the act, that can only be used in very, very, very specific circumstances, and this is not it.
Exactly.
If you're going to use it in a story way to make a player feel a certain way, that's one thing. That's not what this game is doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's executing a power fantasy. If you're trying to really show how despicable a character is, that's one thing.
Yeah.
That's not what this is. Again, it's just not. This isn't a story-driven game. It's just some kind of simulation. It's like a simulator.
It's terrible, man.
It's fucked up. So I don't know. I don't really want to like linger on this topic too much more. But I don't know. This whole thing rubbed me the wrong way. I think this lingered a little bit too long in the news cycle for me. I think Valve should have been a little bit more quicker
They should have
to just jump on this and say no.
I just don't like the way it makes the rest of, like, a vocal minority is like pushing this, but the majority of gamers do not support shit like this.
Well, dude, I saw stories too of like there was a government official in Europe that was just like, this is like a joke the way they're handling this, you know? It's like, and they were just, that's the thing, it just makes us all look bad.
Yeah,
you know. So I don't know. It was a poor situation all around. Moving on, Anthem. We talked about it last week. It's continued to just stay in the news cycle. It will not go away. It is if you hate this game, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Because
unfortunately, I don't hate this game.
I
wish
either.
I did, but I don't.
I don't. I know. I don't either. I just feel bad at this point.
Yeah, man.
Because some more, dude. It feels like every other day there's a new bug that's coming out that breaks this game. And there's two in particular that we're going to point out here. So this one came out earlier in the week. I think did we talk about this on the last episode? I think this came out after we were...
What, the loot drop or the...
No, the level 1 rifle
No,
thing.
that came out this week.
After we recorded?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a bug, I think this came out Wednesday or late Tuesday, that a level 1 rifle called the Defender, which is the default rifle you get when you make a javelin loadout, a new javelin loadout. This level 1 rifle was tested by somebody to be stronger than the highest level weapons in the fucking game. So the numbers were displaying properly. It was like they would shoot a bullet and it would do 250 with the level 1 rifle, and then with the high level rifle it would do like 1,000 damage, right?
Yeah.
But the number of shots to kill the enemy was not lining up with that.
Yeah.
The level 1 rifle was killing enemies, like this certain enemy, in 4 hits, and the high level rifle was killing him in 6 hits. So it was completely fucking borked. And this was like a really bad story because this started on Reddit and then it kind of broke into the news cycle around the industry. And dude, this is something that like would destroy a game, you know,
especially a game like, you may not think of it that bad, but this is an RPG game where damage numbers matter.
Yes, and progression is really important to the player's experience, you know.
So,
and if that progression is compromised by a bug like this, what's the point of playing the game?
What's the point of leveling?
What is the point of leveling? What's the point of chasing legendaries?
Yeah.
If they don't even work properly, what is the point of them? You know?
Exactly.
And then there was another bug. This one was fun. This happened today. I don't even know if I classify it as a bug.
It's not a bug. It's just like a
poor design choice.
Yeah, there you go.
Where people there was somebody on Reddit again that tested loot drops. And they found that they got way more legendaries killing enemies out in free play that aren't tied to an event, a mission, or anything like that. They're just random mobs roaming the world. They got more legendary drops from that, way more than doing missions and trying to get them the normal way, the way the game wants you to get them.
Yeah, and about 10 people tested this and they found out the same results as well.
Oh, it was happening instantly. People were getting a legendary an hour versus playing for fucking 50 hours and getting like 3 or 4, you know? So this one was like really jarring because this is just, I don't know how this happened. Did they design this intentionally this way? I doubt it. It just seems like an oversight.
Well, he was saying something about like a penalty that gets applied to like bigger bosses as far as like RNG and getting legendaries.
Yeah.
And for some reason the bug, like, he doesn't know the algorithm, but the penalty keeps getting applied to that, so where you're not getting those legendaries anymore because it just keeps applying that penalty.
Yeah, and it makes your drop rates worse.
Exactly.
And worse.
Is where you but when you go out into
that doesn't happen in free play.
Exactly.
Got it. Yeah, that's man. It's just rough, dude. I don't know how they get out from under this.
Developing the year, man.
Because, dude, I mean, the thing is, they're not fixing these things with hot fixes. Like, they're still not going to be fixed for a few more days from our recording of this. You know,
see, my biggest worry is they're going to abandon the game like they did Mass Effect Andromeda. They just abandoned the game after like 3 months, I think.
I think we're going to get through May, and depending on where the game is, I think that could be the breaking point of whether they continue to develop for Anthem or not. Because if their new content drops don't get people re-engaged or get new people engaged, I mean, what's the point? You know? And their cash shop is a fucking joke. Like, it is laughable how bad it is. You know, it's like one of the worst cash shops I've ever seen. There's like 6 items in there. 2 of them are like supposed to be...
Yeah, they said they're supposed to have rotating items, but people are like...
And they do rotate, but they're shit.
Yeah, people are like, just give us everything.
The
thing is, I don't think they have anything.
I don't think they do either, dude. I don't think they have a lot. And the shit because some of the shit that's in there, like at first it started out with costumes, like different javelin looks for the javelins, and now it's like cycled into like emotes, and it's like those are like the major selling things for the 3-day cycle, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, when am I gonna like? I don't care about emotes, dude.
Yeah,
that's not something.
I mean, I bought one, but I had that was with the in-game currency.
Yeah,
but you know, you hardly ever see me do it. Like when I drop in, my Colossus supposed to flex, but I don't think anyone ever sees me.
Well, because the game doesn't load fast enough for most people. You're already gone by the time I've loaded into the game. So
okay.
you know, it's like, who's gonna see that anyways? So it's like, I don't know. This game just has so many problems, dude. As I said, I just feel bad for them at this point. Like, they're not... I just feel like they're going to... I don't know how they get out from under this. These content drops need to be really substantial, you know?
All right, so before we move on, like, problem with BioWare, and like I said, watching that Mass Effect Andromeda has, like, opened my eyes to their development, like, the way they work. Problem with them is they have really great ideas on paper.
They just can't execute.
Yeah, they don't focus on one project. So let me give you an idea, right? When Andromeda's being made, probably, and they said they started this game. They were working on this game for 6 years. So I think Anthem was in development too, as well.
It was, yeah.
So during that development cycle, this is 2013. Not only did you have Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yep.
I think that dropped.
That had just come out.
Yep.
In 2012.
Yeah.
End of 2012.
End of 2012. So you had people dedicated to that. Then they were still working on Andromeda, and they're still they're about to finish up Inquisition, and then they were starting.
Well, no, Inquisition didn't come out for like 2 more years.
No, Inquisition came out in 2014.
Yeah, you're talking 2012 though.
No, I said 2013.
Oh, 2013.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget too. Mass Effect 3 had just come out.
Holy shit!
Year.
Yeah,
and they were working on DLC for that game.
So you got like 7 things they're working on. I didn't even include Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda. Yep. So my thing is with they may have like 5 or 6. I think they have like 5 studios, or I think 4 now. But at the time they had like 5 studios.
They have Edmonton, Austin,
Montreal.
They used that Montreal. They don't have them anymore. And then I forget the other one.
Yeah, so they had 4 studios.
I think they had 4, and I think they're down to 3.
Yeah.
No.
So my thing is this. They need to focus on one project and just focus on that project alone. I think, in my opinion, that's what made Dragon Age great. That's what made, the first Dragon Age. Mass Effect great, because they were just focused on Mass Effect.
Yeah.
They don't need to be doing 6 or 7, because the games that they have, they require a lot of attention. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
well, they're very detail-oriented games.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, they're complicated.
So you can't do like 5 things at once, and that's the problem with Mass Effect. That's the problem with BioWare. They try to do like 5 things at once. I'm pretty sure when they made Jade Empire, I'm pretty sure when they made Couture, they weren't doing 5 things at once. This was their project.
Yeah, they might have been working on 2 games at the same time, probably back then.
Probably, yeah.
Because they still had, I think they still had like Icewind Dale and stuff they had coming out around the same time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I think really they could probably work on 2 games at once. I think they could probably
2 is the limit.
I think they could probably manage that. The problem is the scope of these games seems like it's gotten out of control with some of the stuff they want to do. Like Anthem, the way they pitched Anthem was like I don't understand how we got the game we got, because what they were pitching to us in 2017 is like this like amazing open world game that has these seamless transitions into missions, and you can just switch between any mission you want at any given time. You can just change your mind of where you want to go, and like, none of that's in the game. You have to, like, it's like the way the game works now is like each mission is like an amusement park ride, and you can't get on the other ride until you're done with the ride you're on.
Yeah,
you know, it's like that wasn't the game they pitched. The game they pitched is like you could change your mind of what you wanted to do at any given time. You know, you could literally go into this cave in the middle of a mission and then finish that cave and then finish the mission you were doing before you went in the cave. You know that, and then like there was no loading screen coming out of Fort Tarsis. You just went out of it. It was like an animation transition. Like it loaded. I'm sure it loaded
behind it,
but it was like they were showing you something happening while it was loading. You know, it wasn't like a static loading screen like it is now. And it just seemed like they were more ambitious. Like Fort Tarsis seemed like they wanted to do a lot more with it. It was a lot more alive. People were walking around and talking to each other, and things were happening around you, you know? And the game as it is now is, no, there's nothing happening around you. People are just standing around waiting for you to come talk to them, you know? They're not doing anything. Nobody seems like they're alive, like living in Fort Tarsis. They're just like little mannequins for you to come interact with. You know?
Yeah.
And it's so... The game we got is not, I think, what BioWare wanted to make. I don't understand how we got here. I really don't. I'm really curious what happened with this game.
That's why I want you to watch that little documentary, because it really shows, not just with Andromeda, but everything, how they work. Yeah. And
they're just really fractured and scatterbrained.
Exactly. I think a lot of stuff changed, and they need new leadership. They need someone to like
rein them in.
Yeah.
Keep them on task.
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah. It's a damn shame. This. I mean, I'm not gonna say this is worse than Fallout 76. I don't think it is.
No, it's not that bad.
Fallout 76 was an established franchise that Bethesda decided to ruin. Anthem is not that. It's not like this isn't like they made a Mass Effect shared world shooter and fucked it up. Yeah. You know?
Which would have been cool.
Well, not if it was fucked up.
No, Mass Effect shared world shooter.
But, you know, but this is close. It's very close, dude. Like, it's really close to that because, I mean, this is going to be the biggest fuck up of 2019. I don't foresee any game topping Anthem's launch. Like, it's really bad. It's one of the worst ones I've seen. But, oh well. Anyways, moving on. We got a couple release date things. Came out the past couple days. So I saw this today. This is interesting. The original Diablo was re-released on GOG, Good Old Games, which is CD Projekt Red's distribution platform. This was like out of the blue, out of nowhere, dude. This just like happened all of a sudden, and apparently supposedly
the rights to that. I mean,
well, they're working with Blizzard, I'm sure. The thing is, these games, supposedly Warcraft 1 and 2 are also coming to GOG at some point in the future. Similarly, they're not changing the games in anywhere. They're just making them playable on current
consoles or
current
platforms.
OSs. Yeah, current platforms. And I didn't know that Diablo, you could not buy Diablo 1, Warcraft 1, and Warcraft 2 anywhere to play. I thought Blizzard had already done this, but apparently I'm a few years behind because I swear to God, like on Battle.net, I could download Diablo 1 and play it like a few years ago.
Really?
So I don't know what happened that made them do this, but apparently these games are not fully playable on Windows 10 and like newer
that actually
platforms.
Makes a lot of sense. So.
But it's interesting. I mean, dude, seeing the story today was like, shit, man. Diablo 1 looks so good. I'm like, man, I kind of want to play it. But you know, if you haven't played, by the way, if you haven't played Diablo 1 or Warcraft 2, do yourself a favor and go play them. You want to see what quality video games feel like. You want to
see what quality Blizzard looks like.
Yeah, you want to see what quality Blizzard looks like, go play these games. Trust me, Diablo 1 holds up.
It's not that Overwatch shit, man.
Yeah, Warcraft 2 holds up. Warcraft 1 maybe holds up. But, I mean, Warcraft 2 is definitely a simple game to play, but
the story is
really good. The lore is really good in that game. And Diablo 1 is it's obviously it's not as good as Diablo 2.
It's dated, guys.
It's dated. It's not as good as Diablo 2, but dude,
it's creepy as fuck.
It is extremely atmospheric, like in a way that no other Diablo game has been. Yeah. So they're worth your time. I mean, I don't even know what the price is. I'm sure it's like $5 or $10 or something cheap, but worth checking out. So, also following up on Grim Dawn last week, how we said it was announced for March. It actually got dated today. It's going to be March 27th, and it's only going to be $16. The Forgotten Gods. This is the second expansion for Grim Dawn. $16. I mean, dude, you can't beat that. I mean, it's a great price for. Yeah, it's a great price for something that's going to be.
Day to play it.
Well, this is going to be adding a lot of content to this game. Yeah, dude, it's adding an endless dungeon mode. To the game. Okay. Yeah, for farming and stuff. Like, dude, I'm pretty excited about this expansion. So, as I said last week, check that out. New game releases. Nothing really besides The Division 2.
Yeah, I don't really see anything I want.
Which we'll be playing. We will absolutely be playing and covering that game. I expect it to be better than Anthem. However, Anthem has shaken my confidence in shared world shooters. So
there is a controversy going on with the downloads thing for.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned this today.
Yeah, 90 gigs. I think 91.
The day one patch is going to be 90 gigs.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's not the whole game?
No. Well, let me check.
Because, dude, 90 gigs is bigger than The Witcher 3. I mean, 90 gigs is gigantic, and you're making people download that? That's fucking crazy. Because, I mean, dude, to me, if you're going to make a game on disc, most of your game needs to be on disc. You know, I really despise these companies sometimes when they'll make a physical copy of a game, and then you'll put the disc in, and then you end up downloading the whole fucking game. You know, I hate that. I absolutely really cannot stand that stuff. So,
it says things will spin out of control on the PS4. The same content, full game, and Title 1 update is 81 to 92 gigs.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. That's crazy, dude. So what's on the disc?
I don't know.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Like, is nothing on the disc?
Nothing.
Dude, you're right about the PS4. This has gotten out of control this generation.
Yeah,
the sizes of games has gotten out of control, and the way they handle distribution of these games with this stuff.
What's weird is, right, Ubisoft outlined mandatory first title update on PC and Xbox is between 48 and 52 gigs. That accounts for both games and the day one patch. But however, on the PS4, it's larger. It's 82 to 91 gigs.
What the hell?
I mean, yeah, 88 to 92 gigs.
I want to know why that is. That's interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. That doesn't really make any sense. Why would it be like twice the size on PS4?
It has to be like maybe the infrastructure of PSN.
I don't know. Maybe.
I can't tell you, man.
I mean, they're using Blu-rays. That's the same as Xbox.
I can't tell you, man. I honestly can't tell you.
That's weird, dude. Yeah. That's really weird. That's definitely strange. Well, whatever the case, we're probably not playing it the day we get it. We're going to be downloading.
Isn't that wild?
It's crazy, dude. Like, yeah, I know. The day it comes out, like, I was planning on playing it at midnight on next week because I'm going to be off. Yeah. So, yeah, not now. It's gonna take me like 5 hours to download that.
That's
even
wild.
with the internet I have. Like that's crazy, dude. Anyways, all right. Topic of the show. So we've been talking about Square Enix a lot, given Kingdom Hearts 3 and our disappointment with it.
Don't worry, guys. We're not going to trash Kingdom Hearts 3 again. Well, it may come up.
Maybe it's probably going to come up. But the impetus for this was really that there's a game that came out called Left Alive. This came out last week. And it is a game in the Front Mission universe, which is a strategy RPG series that, there were 5 entries for. Then they made Front Mission Evolve, which was a fucking online mech action battle game, which God knows why they made that. And then they decided to make this game, which was like an MGS stealth action game that was very story focused. However, trailers started coming out for this game last week, and this game looks like shit. And it looks like a PS2 game. It's come out.
Not even a PS3 game.
Dude, the Metascore for this game with 10 reviews is 39. I mean, this game is bad, or it looks really bad. Obviously, we haven't played it. I want to play it, despite how bad people are saying it is.
I don't want to play it. I'm sorry.
I'm almost morbidly curious at this point. I want to know how truly awful this game is, because, I mean, the trailers turned me off immediately. Because they dropped like a 15-minute gameplay trailer last week, and I watched the whole thing, and it turned me off from the game entirely. Like I was like, wow, this game looks really bad. Like I couldn't get around how it looked like a PS2 game. I mean, that's literally what it looks like. It's crazy. This just seems like Square didn't give the studio or whatever team they were using, they didn't give them enough time to make this game properly.
Yeah.
Or maybe the studio fucked up and they've had 3 years and they just couldn't make a good game. I don't know what the fuck happened, but whatever the case, a shitty game has come out for a franchise that's got a great legacy, but Square in recent years has fucked up that legacy twice now and has made garbage fucking games, and they just seem to, and the conversation we want to talk about is just like kind of the state of where Square Enix is now, because they have tons of IPs that are really well known and beloved, and they either don't do anything with them, or they do stuff with them to try to modernize them or westernize them, and they fuck them up every time.
Yep.
You know, they've done this with this now. I mean, they're doing it with Final Fantasy constantly. There's even the way Kingdom Hearts was handled was not handled well, in my opinion.
Just the whole this is the first game. Oh well, okay. Yeah, this is the first Kingdom Hearts that has like a DLC thing to it.
Yes, there's going to be DLC coming out for this game, which we talked about in last episode.
And I don't know if that's because this is the first one that's kind of released on like a major platform with
that has like a network.
That has a network and things of that nature.
Yeah. I
mean, one can argue the 3DS, but I mean,
yeah, but you wouldn't release DLC like this for 3DS. I mean,
and it's paid too, so
yeah. Well, Dennison was saying that this is, and I agree with this assessment, that this is basically going to be the final mix version of the game, this DLC. So instead of putting it in a box and charging you $60 for it, they're going to put it online. And it's going to be like 20.
Yeah,
you know, which is fair.
I can understand that.
Which is fair, but I still don't appreciate the fact that you're charging us money to finish the story for that. You know?
That is what I don't like about that.
Yeah. And I mean, dude, I've been thinking about their back catalog when they were Squaresoft, and we were talking about this before. Like, dude, the quality of games they made before they became Square Enix was just through the roof, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they were consistently a high-quality developer, you know? They had some duds here and there, but it was so few and far between, and the volume of games they were pumping out was crazy, you know? Before they became Square Enix. And then all of a sudden, they become Square Enix, and they're sluggish. They take forever to make a fucking game. And even when it comes out, it's not very good.
It's not like their games were bad or not selling well.
Yeah.
Like, even Final Fantasy VIII, which is like the black sheep for Square for some reason, that sold really well.
Yeah, that game sold a ton of copies.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, Square is one of those companies where I can't have an honest discussion. Like, you're probably the only person in the entire world right now who, because I'm the only reason I'm saying that is because Kingdom Hearts just dropped like maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
So you're probably the only person right now I can have an honest discussion with about Square, because I've been thinking like they've been lacking in quality for the last couple of years.
10 years. Over
like
10
the way
years.
they handled Tomb Raider was just unfair to me, in my opinion.
That's the publishing side of Square Enix.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking.
Part of this discussion.
Yeah. And that game's really good. Like, a lot of people just skipped it, but that game's really good. And then, like, I know a lot of people who say, like, the way they handle Hitman is okay, but I don't know. Like,
that series is, like, popular, dude. Like, that company bought the IP back, and they're successful.
Yeah.
What does Square do? And dude,
it's an episodic adventure, right? It's an episodic game.
They made Hitman 2, though, and there's no episodes. It's just
really?
It's just a full game by itself, and people fucking love it. Dude, like, it's a high-quality product.
But I don't want to hear nothing about that game from Square. You see what I'm saying?
Because, no, the second one, it's not with Square anymore.
It's not?
That company left Square, bought the IP from Square after Hitman 1, and then they made Hitman 2, and people fucking love it, and they're doing fine.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
good for them.
They completely... That's the point, though. Square fucked that up. Like, how do you let that go, and then you... Like, what? And then, dude, another one that drives me up a wall is fucking Deus Ex. I fucking love that franchise. I've only played Mankind Divided, and I am in love with that universe. And they seem to be like doing. They've just kicked it into a closet, and it's like it's just gone. Like,
when was the last one that came out?
It was Mankind Divided in 2016, I think.
Okay, so maybe they're making. That's about.
They're not.
They're not,
because the company that made Mankind Divided made the last Tomb Raider. This last one that just came out,
shit.
They made
Shadow.
Yeah, no, not Crystal Dynamics. Eidos Montreal.
Yeah.
Eidos Montreal. They kicked Crystal Dynamics off of Tomb Raider after Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is the second one, the one that tanked because they fucking released it the same fucking day that Fallout 4 came out. Yeah. So they kicked Crystal Dynamics off that game, and I think they're making some Marvel game now, like the Avengers game. They're making the Avengers game, I think. And then Eidos Montreal, who made Mankind Divided, that game sold like ass, and then they decided to make Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which just came out last September. Now I don't know what they're working on. They're probably maybe working on another Deus Ex game. But the thing is, Deus Ex is an awesome franchise, and somehow Square Enix doesn't know how to like sell it. Because dude, do you remember the pre-order bullshit with Mankind Divided? What they did with that fucking game?
What they do?
Oh my god. The PR, dude, they were trying to drum up fake like social justice controversies to sell this game. You know, it was like
what?
Like the whole augment your pre-order thing. You remember that?
No.
Like they did this whole campaign where they were I think they like made like fake news stories where augmented people. So you know, in Deus Ex's universe, there's people who have like machine parts that are part of their body or whatever.
Oh yeah,
they're called the augmented or whatever. And they're really looked down upon by people of who are pure humans that don't have any mechanical parts or whatever within the universe. It's like their version of racism, basically, right? And yeah, it's like Square tried to use that to create these hype pieces or whatever to like sell the game, and then they did this whole augment your pre-order thing where they had this like really weird tiered pre-order bonus thing that was going on. I don't remember it exactly, but it was, dude, it I feel like it like had a serious detriment to that game's sales, because I remember it being in the news cycle and being extremely controversial, and people fucking hated it. And obviously Eidos isn't the one fucking coming up with this shit. Like Square Enix is the publisher. Yeah. Square Enix is the publisher, so they're pushing this shit on them, trying to get them to sell more copies. I think, because I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. There was like, I think what happened is that depending on how many pre-orders were sold before the game came out, there was like a website that was tracking how many pre-orders were sold.
Yeah.
If they were hitting, it was almost like a Kickstarter. If they hit certain number of pre-orders, it would unlock things in the game, like the final release of the game.
What?
Yeah, and this was like 3 or 4 months before the game was coming out too. This wasn't like 2 years before the game came out. It was like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was super weird, and it was bad. It was really bad. And the other part is the game itself. The game was fucking great, but there was this weird fucking VR mode in there, like a simulation mode. You know the old like in MGS1, the VR tutorials, the VR training things. Yeah, this game had that kind of mode in there that was just completely separate from the storyline.
Yeah,
where you did these like challenge missions or whatever, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a whole set of microtransactions tied to that mode. Like there was in-game currency and shit like that, and there were trophies tied to it. It was so shoehorned into the game.
Yeah, you know, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, and it was just total bullshit. So it's like their mishandling of franchises extends to stuff that's not even made by their primary development teams. I mean, like Deus Ex is an awesome franchise. It's a seriously fucking awesome franchise.
It's like a meme franchise. I mean, not in a bad way, but people will always go to that for like, you know, remember this twist that happened at the end of the game?
Dude, it's really highbrow stuff. Yeah. Like, it's really well told. The lore is like really intricate and detailed, and it's just like a really cool concept too. It's like an alternate timeline take of our reality, basically.
Yeah.
And it's really well done, though. It's really well told. The game's just like, you know, the game's. I do remember Mankind Divided had performance issues on PS4, but it wasn't enough to like really detract from the game. But I don't know. It's just the fact that Square is like can't turn that into a successful IP is like really kind of irritating. And the fact that they just kick it into a closet because they fucked it up is really annoying to me, because I don't want Eidos making Tomb Raider games. I mean, I know people like Tomb Raider. I don't personally care about that franchise. Like, I want Eidos making fucking Deus Ex games, you know? That's what
Eidos was the original Tomb Raider. That's why it was so weird. Yeah. Like, people were kind of against it, because I know Crystal Dynamics was Eidos as well. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. That whole studio thing is weird to me, but
it is a weird dynamic. Yeah. But dude, for me, like, they're at their best when they're making Deus Ex games. At the current moment, I don't care if they made fucking Tomb Raider games in the past. That's not what they've made in the past, 10, 15 years, And the thing is, too, the story is not finished for Deus Ex. Like, they were telling a trilogy, because there was Human Revolution, which came out during the PS3 era, and then Mankind Divided was the follow-up to that game. There's another game planned that's supposed to be part of a trilogy that wraps up the story, and we don't even know if we're going to get that game, because of the state that they've left Deus Ex in,
Hopefully we get it.
So that's just like, dude, that's an example of them mismanaging a franchise, though. And then we've got Front Mission that they fucked this up now. Where, dude, because the last entry in the series that was a tactical strategy RPG in Front Mission was like 15 years ago, and it was never even localized to the US. It was Front Mission 5. The last one we got was Front Mission 4, and that game was fucking fantastic. It was an excellent game. Like, it is an absolutely excellent game. And they can't even... I don't understand why they think people don't want these games. Like, they don't want strategy RPGs, because, dude, they got Final Fantasy Tactics they're sitting on that they haven't made an entry in that series in forever. Then you've got Tactics Ogre, which is another one of these series that they've sat on for fucking, 15, 20 years.
They move all their games towards action. They don't really do turn-based stuff anymore.
And it's annoying as fucking hell. They think that's all we want. And it's like, there's plenty of people who want these old style games, man.
Which is actually kind of contrary to what I said last week about turn-based games, because I wanted Pokemon to go action-based. But
yeah, but no, this is a different kind of turn-based.
That's what that's what I was going to get to. I'm like, this is a different turn-based. Like, in my opinion, Final Fantasy 15 would have been cool as a turn-based game. You had your party.
100%, I agree.
You can do different things of that nature.
I think that game would have been way better.
Yeah, it would have been. Or if you want to do like an active battle system like 13, that would have been cool. Yeah. I just never wanted the series to go full blown action. Like, I agree. We have Kingdom Hearts for that. Yeah. We don't need a full blown action Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you. And yeah, I think there's this stigma on strategy RPGs that they're not big sellers.
Well, I mean, Fire Emblem is like...
And that is exactly what I was about to bring up. Nintendo has turned Fire Emblem into one of the biggest IPs on the fucking planet in terms of gaming. I mean, as we said last year, Fire Emblem Heroes made like $350 fucking million last year, and it's a goddamn mobile game.
And it's a strategy mobile game.
Yeah, and the next entry, the Three Houses, I guarantee you that game's going to be one of the biggest sellers on Nintendo Switch. Like... That's just where Fire Emblem is at, because Nintendo has actually invested the time into that IP and let Intelligent Systems create games in that IP that have fostered a bigger fan base.
So what's weird about this is Square Enix has already been on this mobile train. They have the Final Fantasy 15. They have the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius and Mobius. And I'm pretty sure they're making a ton of money.
There's more than that too.
Yeah, and they have their
Union Cross,
Kingdom
Hearts
Union Cross game. Yeah. And then they have all their Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Tactics. Is it 7 on mobile? I don't think 7's on mobile.
7's... It might be.
I don't know.
I think it is. Maybe it is. I'm not sure.
Well, they have their old games on mobile, so they're making probably a ton of money. Yeah. There's no reason why they can't dedicate that money to go to other studios to make better, main project games. So it's just, I don't know, the state they're in right now. To me, they're reminding me of like 2013 Capcom.
It is on mobile. Final Fantasy 7 is on mobile.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're man. Well, I'm trying to pull up a list here of games that Squaresoft made before they turned into Square Enix, because the quality in this is just it's pretty bonkers before they turn into, because you got Final Fantasies 1 through 10 were all made when they were Squaresoft, and majority of those are lauded games, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you look at the ones after they became Square Enix. 12, that's extremely divisive. I think it's more hated than it's liked.
Well, yeah, the Zodiac Age changed people's minds on that game, but when it first came out, it was terrible.
For sure, but that's like, I mean, that's like a 13-year gap.
Yeah,
or 12-year
exactly.
gap,
right.
you know?
You're right.
And then 13, people fucking hate 13. That's like the most hated Final Fantasy out there. Whether it's justified or not, that's just the reality.
Yeah.
You know? People fucking hate 13. And then you've got 13.2 and 13.3, both of which I don't think really move the needle in any particular direction.
Yeah.
I don't think people care or not care that much about those games.
They kind of staggered on for 13 because you had 13.2 then Lightning Returns.
And then they kind of just pooped them out. It was weird. They weren't really marketed, and I don't, particularly 13.3 wasn't really marketed. That game just kind of happened. It was weird. And then you've got 14, which is an MMO. That game was a disaster when it came out, and then they remade it, and people like it now. And then you've got 15, which for some reason is divisive. I don't understand why. Because
actually, we're like the minority.
It's a trash heap, though.
People love that.
It's a trash heap.
It is.
It's a trash heap. Like, I'm sorry. If you think Final Fantasy 15 is good, you need to get your fucking taste in games checked, because the game was incomplete. It's literally incomplete.
I equate it to, so you know, a lot of otakus and female and male otakus play Final Fantasy. So this is my theory, right? My theory is Final Fantasy 15. A lot of girls in anime love Korean boy bands.
Yep.
And what does Final Fantasy 15? I said 13. What does Final Fantasy 15 look like? They kind of look like a Korean boy band.
100%, dude. That was always the joke before it came out.
Yeah. So I think the reason it's sold so well and people like it is because it has that boy band aspect.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can have that, but the game itself is not good. It's push to win. You press button,
a single button to attack.
And a single button to dodge.
Button to dodge. And then the story's not finished. Like, there's literally sections of the story late in the game that are just not there. Like, literally not there.
One of your main party members disappears.
Yeah.
And they had to make a whole game or a whole DLC.
Make a DLC. Well, they did that for all three of the party members, because they all disappear at certain points of the game, remember? And, yeah, it was like... That's the thing with the Kingdom Hearts, right? They're using DLC. They're charging people money to fill in gaps in their game stories.
I swear to God, if they fill a gap in that Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm going to be so fucking mad.
They're going to explain why Shion's there, man, and how Roxas showed up at, like, Thor, you know? But then you've got that, and then if you remember, the Final Fantasy 13-2 had a similar controversy where the ending of the game was not in the game. Like, they sold it as DLC later. I specifically remember this. Yes, that they I think there was an ending to the game, but it wasn't like the canon ending to the game. They ended up making a new ending or something, and they sold that as DLC. And they've been doing this for a while. Like, they the way they do DLC is really like fucking fucked up. Like, I don't know why people give them a pass for this shit.
Because it's fucking Square.
I don't get it. And then another game that I want to bring up is fucking Last Remnant. The way they handled that game 10 years ago on the fucking Xbox, because they made it an Xbox 360 exclusive.
Yep.
This was
ran
during,
like shit.
Yeah, this was during that period of time where companies, JRPGs were going on Xbox, and Microsoft was trying to get more games on Xbox, more Japanese games.
Yeah.
And Last Remnant was one of them. And remember when this game was getting hyped up and the whole news cycle was like, oh, this is going to be the next Final Fantasy. Like, we're not going to make any more Final Fantasy games, and Last Remnant's going to be the new Final Fantasy or whatever.
Yeah.
So they released that game. It's a technical mess. It doesn't work on Xbox. So the game tanks. Everybody fucking hates it. It gets terrible reviews. And then 6 months later, they port it to PC, and the game runs flawlessly, and it's an amazing fucking game, but nobody knows because Square ruined it with the Xbox release. And, dude, when they remastered it this past December, people were like, God, I remember this game. This game was shit. And it's like, nah, bro, just give it a shot. It's not a bad game. It's actually really good.
And they didn't show any gameplay footage or anything. Like,
no, and they like ruined a potential franchise because of the way they handled the release schedule of it. And they didn't like optimize it for the platform they were putting it on.
Yeah.
And like so I'm like, look, go ahead.
I'll just be honest.
Yeah.
Since Final Fantasy about 8.
Yep.
9 maybe. I'm like, this company's highly overrated.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm like, there are a ton of JRPGs that kind of do what they do, but better.
Yeah.
And when I say that, and people are like, oh, you're just a Final Fantasy hater. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I just play better games. I understand games, and I know this franchise is a staple to us and everything like that. But I'm like, bro, when 13 came out, I was like, yo, this shit trash. Like, I hated 13.
I
know you liked it, and my friends liked it.
I liked it,
and I fucking hated 13. Yeah. But I wasn't on the 13 hate train. When 13-2 came out, I was like, oh shit, this is actually pretty better. I just didn't beat it. I didn't know about the DLC shit.
I'm not saying that 13 is amazing. It's a solid game.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's like I'd give it like maybe an 8.
I knew the direction of where they were going.
But
I knew the direction, and then when 15 came out, that's when I was like,
that was like the culmination of everything.
I'm like, I'm done.
You were feeling?
Yeah.
Well, dude, like the thing is, like, before they became Square Enix, you can easily name 10 games that are amazing games, right? And then after they became Square Enix, what games would you name that are amazing? I can't even think of one. Like, that includes all the Kingdom Hearts games. I don't think any of those games are, like, out of this world amazing. Maybe Birth by Sleep is the only one that I can think of. There's, like, Bravely Default and Bravely Default 2 and then Octopath Traveler that came out last year. Those games are good. They're not like, they don't blow me they don't blow my hair back, though.
Twitter will have your head, because they love Bravely Default. They love Bravely Default 2. Like, the JRPG side of gaming Twitter, love those games. What was the other one you named? Octopath Traveler. I didn't really hear too much about that on Twitter.
It's good. As I said, I was talking about it, last year. It was pretty good.
It's just, I don't know, man. If you're going to do... The thing about Square, man, I think Kingdom Hearts was a risk for them.
Yeah.
And when they took that risk, I was like, okay, it paid off for them. And then they continued to, capitalize on that and everything of that nature.
Yeah.
It just... They do this with every franchise, though. Like, I feel like they did I'm gonna call it the 13-2 effect, the 13 effect.
Yeah.
Because they made this franchise and it did sell well, but they just kept going with it.
Yeah.
They just kept going with it, and it's just like, all right, man, like, are you guys gonna try anything new? 15, same thing. They made this franchise, and we got the anime, we got the movie, we got the YouTube anime, we got the fucking cell phone game. And I'm and it's like, we got the VR, the Monster of the Deep.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, why?
There's I feel like there's nobody there reining in their scope. Like, their scope creep is out of control at Square.
No, their scope is money. They know people are going to back them no matter what. That's my issue. I don't think the issue is Square. I think the issue is fans. Fans will continue to support their trash.
Well, we're seeing it with Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts is a trash... I'm gonna be honest with you. It's trash heap. I like the gameplay. It's trash heap, though. I would never go back to that shit. Kingdom Hearts is literally the first game in about 5 years that I'm gonna return.
Yeah.
And I plan on returning that probably with Anthem. If I'm gonna return Anthem, I'm gonna give Anthem like one more month, and then I'm gonna return that shit.
Yeah.
But Kingdom Hearts is the first game I'm gonna return, because I just, the DLC. I'm done with the whole... Oh man, it's this mysterious storytelling shit, and it's like, bro, I'm too old for this shit. Like, yeah, there you go, right there. I'm too old for this shit. And Square Enix, I'm just too old for Square Enix now. Like, I feel like I have grown out their games. I've grown out the Final Fantasy hype.
I mean, I don't feel that way. I'm annoyed because I love their IP, dude. I do. It's just I've never been
in love with their IP like that.
See, I'm in love with a lot of their IP. It's just they don't make quality games. That's my thing. I don't think they make quality games anymore. I don't think they've made quality games in like 15 years.
So how you feel about them is how I feel about Capcom, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love their IPs.
Yeah.
And but for them to get into this, which I feel like Square is never going to experience, for them to get into this thing of making good games again, like, they went back to their roots this last generation.
Made Mega Man 11.
Made Mega Man 11, Devil May Cry 5, Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
And they brought Street Fighter back, back to its glory. So you got these good games coming out for this game company, but everyone who knows Capcom is calling it the Capcom Revival arc, because they had to go through a period where we rejected the fuck out of them. Gamers was like, no, we're not buying this shit.
Which isn't happening with Square.
It's not gonna, and it's never gonna happen with Square. Square will have to deliver.
I mean, you're right.
They will have to fuck up really bad.
Why would they change? Why would they change their approach if people are buying their games?
That's
in
what I'm
millions,
saying,
right?
Yeah.
Because dude, Final Fantasy 15 sold like crazy. Like it sold tons of copies. So why would they change their approach in the next one? The problem with them is that they've gotten out of control with their dev cycles, where they take. Why does it take 7 years to make Kingdom Hearts 3? Why the fuck does it take that long to make a 20 or 30 hour game? Like what the fuck is happening over there? And why does it take 10 fucking years to make Final Fantasy 15? Like what the fuck are you guys doing over there?
And they have money. They have the money now. Like mobile games are your lifeline.
So, dude, whatever the next game is, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, why is it taking so long?
When did they announce that?
2015.
They announced that.
It's been 4 fucking years, and there's no way that game is coming out in the next 2 years. No fucking way that game's coming out in the next 2 years.
They fired everyone last year,
yes,
right?
They got rid of the entire development studio. They like it was being made by CyberConnect, and they were like, "Fuck you guys, we don't like the way you're making it." That was like 2 or 3 years ago, and then they restarted development internally. Like, what are you guys doing over there? How are you mismanaging your shit so badly that you keep doing this? They did it with Kingdom Hearts 3, where they switched engines in the middle of development. They did it with Final Fantasy 15, where they fucking scrapped that entire game, and then they remade it again. And I think they changed engines with that game, too. Like, what the fuck? Like, guys, you can't go another 10 years and release 3 fucking games. Like, I understand you're making Bravely Default, Octopath Traveler, fucking I Am Setsuna, all these fucking games. Great. Those aren't the games I'm talking about. I'm talking about the primary dev teams at fucking Square Enix, the ones that are making Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, the big games, the ones that really, really sell. Their biggest franchises. Like get your shit together with that. Like, figure it out. Like, dude, this is why I think this is why Tabata left, because the company is such a fucking mess. Why would you want to work there? I don't understand. Like,
so I feel like, right, I'll tell you like this, like the Tales series, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They were like, if I go to Denny's and I get a steak from Denny's, right, or Denny's or IHOP,
yeah,
that's why I used to think of their like JRPGs. Namco, maybe a step above them. So, like, you know, you go to Fridays.
No, this sounds about right.
But Namco, I like Dot Hack.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
but more recently though, they're more like Denny's.
Well, I'm talking about, because this is where I'm trying to go with it. So, like back in like the, you know, post or pre 2010, I think that's when Square Enix started getting really bad. But so pre that year, I was like, okay, you know, I got Tales games, got my Denny steak. Oh, okay, got the Bandai, the Bamco, you know, RPGs. All right, cool. Got my fucking Red Lobster or Fridays. Mm-hmm. Then you got Square Enix. Square Enix was supposed to be, as far as RPG wise, supposed to be like that Ruth Chris steak, or or that
seriously. Wolfgang Puck.
Wolfgang Puck.
Yeah. Well, to help your argument here, let me read through the games that Squaresoft made in the 90s. Okay. Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 4, Romancing Saga, Final Fantasy 5,
Chrono Trigger,
Secret of Mana, Breath of Fire 1, Final Fantasy 6, Front Mission, Chrono Trigger, Romancing Saga 2 and 3, Bahamut Lagoon, Super Mario RPG, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy Tactics, Front Mission 2, Saga Frontier, Final Fantasy 9. I mean, it goes Xenogears, Parasite Eve. It goes on. And then if you go into the 2000s, you've got Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy 10. I mean, it's just, dude, the Front Mission 3, Front Mission 4. Like, I mean, these are all great games. Every single one of these games that I fucking just read off, like, they're great fucking games. Like, almost every single one of those. It's insane that was the output over 10 years. And then if you go in the last 10 years, their output is fucking trash. Like, what game have they made that's on the caliber of any of those that I just read? Like,
none.
Like, almost none of them. As I said, maybe Birth by Sleep. You know, maybe the fanboys would say Bravely fucking Default. I mean, I played that game, guys. Trust me, it's not that great. It's good. It's fine. Like it's a fucking. It's like an old. It's like Final Fantasy IV, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. Like, great. Okay, you can save your turns. Whoopity fucking do. You know, it's like I don't know. It just like the disparity between that, what I just read off, and what we've gotten recently in the last 10 years is so stark to me. It's insane. You know? Yeah. And what we were talking about Monolith Soft earlier, dude, their catalog is crazy. Like, there's no drop-off in quality in any of their games.
So Monolith Soft, right, is like that one steak when you go out of town. And you can't always get it. It's not always available to you. Even with Game Puck, that shit, you know, you can go downtown, you can get that shit right now if you wanted to. If you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But Monolith Soft, That shit's like an out-of-town steak on the cruise. You're like, yo, this shit's really fucking good.
No, you can't get it anywhere else.
Exactly.
Nothing replicates it. It's literally, it's like you said, you're on a cruise, and it's literally, that cruise is the only place on the planet that you can get that steak that is that good.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, listen to this list. This is since 2002, Monolith Soft has been a company since about 2000, probably 2001. Xenosaga Episode 1. Baten Kaitos, the original one. Xenosaga Episode 2. There's something called Namco X Capcom. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
Baten Kaitos Origins. Xenosaga Episode 3.
Praise them.
And then they actually went through a weird period where they made something called Soma Bringer, Super Robot Tyson OG Saga.
That's probably Japanese only.
Disaster Day of Crisis. I don't think these games were ever localized. Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans, which is some DS game.
Yeah.
Then you've got Xenoblade Chronicles, the original one, Project X Zone, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Project X Zone 2, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
All those games are critically acclaimed.
Yeah. I mean, most of the major ones on here, these are some of the best JRPGs that have ever been made, period. That is... I mean, I understand that taste is subjective, but it's not even really up for debate.
The only game that might be divisive is Chronicles X.
Yeah.
But even people still going back to that game like, yo, this game's fucking good.
The only thing wrong with that game is the story.
Yeah.
The plot. Literally the plot. Everything else about that game is a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an incredible game. The original Baten Kaitos is one of my favorite games literally ever. Like, it is an incredible game.
I have not met a person who do play JRPGs who says that game sucks. Like, because you can't. It's a card system game, which makes it even more complicated.
It's amazing. It's so unique. It's literally one of the most unique games I've ever played.
The way that game teaches you how to play itself. Like,
no, they're masters. Like, in terms of JRPGs, they are masters of layering mechanics on throughout the entirety of the game experience.
Yes.
They don't stop layering new mechanics on until like 80% of the game is done. You know,
exactly.
Like, dude, Baten Kaitos was like that because your classes would upgrade for your characters, and the game would get harder. Like, you'd have more cards available to you, but you'd have a shorter time frame to put your combos together.
Yeah.
So they were making the game harder while giving you more options available to you. So you like had to get better at the game to actually be effective. It's a really amazing, ingenious like design for that game, and I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles X is another one where like you have the game opens up and you get to start exploring the world and you're running around on foot and it's amazing. It's like everything's so huge and there's tons of shit everywhere, and then like 30 hours into the game, 40 hours into the game, you get a fucking mech that completely changes the way you explore the world. Like, it's incredible the way they layer this shit, and like they're just masterful. And comparing them to Square, like current Squaresoft, there's a comparison.
Yeah.
Square Enix is a joke. It's a fucking joke. It's not even close. If anybody plays Baten Kaitos and then plays fucking Final Fantasy 15 and tries to argue with me that Final Fantasy 15 is better, a better game, I'm not even. It's not even a discussion.
This is the problem, man. And a lot of gamers are impatient. Like, they're impatient. We didn't grow up. We grew up in an era where we had to wait, and then we kind of grew up impatient because we're in this era now where we can get things on the fly.
Well, there's 1,000 games every fucking week coming
exactly. Whereas with now, gamers are like really impatient, so they're impatient with their combat as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people would hate Baten Kaitos if they played it.
Yeah, if it came out today, it would have definitely got lower ratings.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, I mean, just look how they trash an action game like Devil May Cry that layers mechanics onto it. You unlock stuff as you play through the game. But anyway, I just feel like Square has they only their legacy. Square is what BioWare. Square is what Blizzard used to be, or what Blizzard used to have as well. Their name is carrying them. Like people only buy Blizzard games because it's Blizzard.
I agree.
Like I may be wrong with this, but if Overwatch had came out by another team, I don't think it would be as popular as it is now.
No, absolutely not. There's no way. Yeah. Of course. Blizzard's name being attached. Dude, Blizzard could release poop and it would sell copies.
And that's how I feel about Square Enix. Square Enix.
I don't think it's as extreme as Blizzard, but...
Yeah, I mean...
I think you're right, though. I agree with you.
Everyone, even people who don't play...
Final Fantasy is definitely like that.
Yeah. Everyone knows about Final Fantasy. Even if you don't even know about games. Like, my girlfriend knows about fucking Final Fantasy. She's not a gamer like that. Everyone knows about Final Fantasy in some capacity.
Yeah. And I'm a weird person because I love JRPGs. I actually don't really like Final Fantasy, like, at all. Like, I had to come to terms with that, like, a few years ago. I was like, I just don't like this franchise.
I've been coming to terms with it.
But even the old ones, like the ones from Squaresoft, I don't even really like those games. Yeah. But I do recognize, though, they're great games.
Only game I really place top notch, like as like the crown jewel in my opinion, is fucking Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, for me it's Final Fantasy Tactics, and then Tactics Ogre, and then Front Mission 3. Okay. And the original Kingdom Hearts I put pretty high up.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the original Kingdom Hearts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, those games are like top-notch quality games. The reason why Kingdom Hearts is up there for me, people are like, well, the combat sucks. I'm like, but they did something like no one else would do. Like, who would think of like putting fucking Disney characters in a JRPG? It is
an extremely unique game.
Yes.
And well, think about, you know how when we were talking about Kingdom Hearts, like Kingdom Hearts 1 is very different from every other Kingdom Hearts game.
It is.
And you can tell. Like, the fact that it was a Squaresoft game actually makes sense to me because they actually had a coherent narrative in that game. And think about every Kingdom Hearts game after that. For the most part, besides Birth by Sleep and maybe Dream Drop, they don't have coherent narratives. You need other games to explain what happens in this game. You know, it's like they're just like really fractured and nonsensical sometimes and confusing, and there's just tons of shit layered on. The original Kingdom Hearts is actually really simple. There's not a lot going on there. Like, there's a lot of things hinted at.
Yeah.
But they leave that to another game to kind of go into that later, right? And they included the Disney villains in the main plot, you know, which no other Kingdom Hearts really ever does, except for Maleficent. She's like some special case for whatever reason, but they don't.
Well, I think they did it in 2, but yeah, not to the degree they did it
in 1. Like, remember in 1 where they're like literally talking to Anthem all around like this like council chamber table, like they're fucking like Knights of the Round Table or whatever.
Yep.
You know, and they're coming up with, they're concocting their fucking evil plan or whatever together.
And that's what I thought was cool, and that's why, in my opinion, like people would disagree with me. But that's why, and then not only that, but the fucking Final Fantasy characters being implemented, even though they weren't like a major part of the story, it was nice to see them. You could fight alongside them.
Well, Squall was like, he like explained things to you when you were in Traverse Town. Though.
Yeah.
So he was important to the plot at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like Sora's like, where the fuck am I? And Squall's like, hey, dude, what up? Well, you're in Traverse Town, and these are heartless.
And our town our world got destroyed, so that's why we're here too.
That's why we're here too. Yeah, exactly. You know,
and the simple fact that they just negated all that in like Kingdom Hearts 3 is another reason, another criticism. But I mean, yeah, like they were known for, even 13 was a complete game. Final Fantasy 13 was a complete game.
Yeah, no, it had a start and a finish.
Yeah,
and a middle.
15 was not I don't care if you fucking argue, not you, but I'm just saying anyone in general.
I'm not arguing with
you. If anyone in fucking general, you can come in my comments. I would definitely debate you all day.
Dude, I will fight you to the ends of the earth. I don't give a shit. Final Fantasy 15 is not a finished game.
It's not a complete game. And if you say, well, the DLC, no.
That's not acceptable.
If I put in a vanilla non-royal edition, fucking the royal edition, that would piss me off too. But if I put a vanilla,
that's their final mix.
Yeah, that's their final mix. But if I put a vanilla version of Final Fantasy 15, I don't update my PS4. I don't even connect to the internet. I just put it in, boom, and I'm about to play it. I will not know what's going on.
Yep.
And I did that.
The end of the game makes no sense. Dude, all of a sudden the world is overrun by demons and the darkness or whatever the fuck that was.
And that's you know what that's set up for? The mobile games.
Yeah. Yeah, and the stupid DLC thing they fucking had later, the multiplayer DLC.
Yeah,
where you're fucking running around with other people,
stupid,
fighting demons.
Why not just make a side game?
I don't.
Like, you can save the world, bro, and the demons not be there.
I hate Final Fantasy 15. I really hate that game. Like, I can't think of a game that I hate more this generation than Final Fantasy 15. Like, that game really pisses me off when I think about it.
And you know what pisses me off even more? The fanboys.
Defenders.
Like,
the fucking defense force.
And I feel like that's why this company would never fail. Because
I know what you mean, man. I agree with you. I do.
They're not going to fail until maybe 10 years out when, like, you know, the gamers, like 9-year-old gamers are not really playing their games. They're playing like Fortnite and shit like that right now. Like, I can't wait till they grow up and they start playing like more mature, like strategy-oriented games.
Yeah.
When they get to, if Square Enix is still in the state, they release Final Fantasy fucking 23 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And they do the same shit. And people are like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, we got way more cohesive games than what you just released now. They're gonna go under, and they're gonna have to go into a sleeper period like Capcom did.
Yeah, well, dude, like Final Fantasy 15, like the story in that game. We were making that analogy last week of the books thing of like taking pages out. Yeah, it's like Final Fantasy 15 is a book that has 400 pages. And the first 200 pages are all there, and everything's coherent. Actually,
I wouldn't even say
that.
I wouldn't even say that. No.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, no, in the first 200 pages, pages 50 through 100 are sold in like a separate little pamphlet.
Yeah, I was a pamphlet
you have to buy.
Or a comic book.
And then there's 50 pages before page 1 that happened that you need to read before you understand anything that happens in the first fucking 200 pages of the book. Then, in the back half of the book, there's literally pages like 300 to 325 and then 350 to 375 are literally just not there. And there's nothing there to explain that to you.
Imagine reading Game of Thrones and
chapters are just missing.
Oh my god. Like when Lady Stark takes fucking Tyrion to fucking the Vale. That's DLC. I mean, that page of that section of the book is just missing. Like
and it's never filled in. It's literally never filled in. But then it's referenced later on as something that happened. Like it's that is Final Fantasy 15 in its vanilla state.
The characters are like, yeah, remember what happened at the Vale?
And you're just sitting there like, what the fuck? What? Tyrion was in the Vale? What are you talking about? That's Final Fantasy 15 in its vanilla state. Things happen that are never explained. That, like, dude, the main crux of the game's plot is like, because I'm gonna spoil the shit out of this game. I don't give a fuck. This game's not worth your time, so fuck it. Because
it has been out for like 3 years.
Yeah, whatever, dude. So the end of this game, the world's falling apart. Like these evil demons, these like night demons or darkness demons. I don't even remember what they're fucking called. I don't give a shit. Whatever. They have a name.
Cares, yeah.
They're like dark demons that really are stronger at night in the darkness and caves and things like that. But they're slowly and surely kind of coming out during the day and taking over things, and they're kind of encroaching on human settlements and stuff. And it's been happening for a long time, though, like, according to characters in the game. And you talk to an NPC that has, like, a side quest that's, like, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's not mentioned in the main story literally at all until all of a sudden, in, like, chapter 12 out of 13 or 14, I don't remember how many chapters there were, where all of a sudden in chapter 12, the world's falling apart, the sun's not out anymore, these demons are fucking everywhere, they've completely taken over the Imperial capital, and then all of a sudden, you go to the Imperial capital, you fight a boss, and then all of a sudden there's a time skip, and they've taken over the entire planet, and people are, like, barely surviving, they're, like, having to, like, band together into these fucking camps and defend themselves, and they can't go outside their little walls because it's so fucking dangerous, because these creatures are everywhere, and this isn't explained at all, literally at all. Like, it just happens.
That's where the mobile games come in.
It just fucking happens, and it's infuriating that people think that this is like good storytelling. I don't understand how you defend this game. It's trash. It's a piece of garbage. I fucking hate that game. Like,
yeah, and like the first half of the game, I mean, you did see some demons, but I just chalked it up to like random JRPG
but
shit.
They came out at night though, and that was fine though.
That was cool. But like the first half of the game completely Like,
but nobody talks about them.
Yeah, you're fighting an army, right? Another country. Like,
you're fighting the Imperials the whole game.
Yeah,
they're the main villains, and then all of a sudden they're just gone.
Yeah,
they're just taking over. Their whole society is completely wiped out by these things, like off screen. It's not even shown, explained. Characters just disappear.
So to me, that's what led to Kingdom Hearts 3. They're like, oh, they will accept this bullshit, so let's do it, Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah,
and a lot of.
I bet you're right. I feel like you're right.
Yeah, like the state of Square Enix now is just money. And first of all, I understand they're a company; they need to make money so they can produce products and things of that nature. But it gets to a certain point where it impedes on your storytelling, and this it's blatant. I don't even think EA does shit like this. Yeah. Like, I don't think...
They don't.
Yeah. I don't think EA... When I played Dead Space 1 and 2, they didn't like, hey, if you want to get past this level, pay $5, or, you want to pay this hidden level or something like that. Like, they're literally doing this to us, y'all. And y'all like, hey...
Eat it up.
Yeah, this is cool. They gave us Bravely Default, though, guys. Like, no, man.
They're giving you poop on a plate, and you're just eating it.
Yeah, like, just because they gave you Octopath Traveler... And they're 2.5. What did they call it? HD.
HD 2D.
Oh my god, it's 2.5D.
It was done by Mario, Paper Mario. It's not a new thing. Fuck you, Square. It's not new. You're not original. You didn't come up with this, okay?
No, they did.
You didn't come up with it.
They did.
No, it drives me crazy. They think they're special. They're not special. Nintendo did this a long time ago. Get over yourselves, like.
Nah, man, and people ate it up. They're like, man, I've never seen a game like this before.
Jesus Christ, dude! Get out of here! Learn your history, you fucking 19-year-old little kids.
It wasn't 19-year-olds, like 25-year-olds.
Goddamn pump kids, man! Well, think about it. 25-year-olds, though, they wouldn't have played Paper Mario. They were like 2 when that game came out, dude. Because that came out in like 98 or whatever. Yeah, so if you're 25, you were born in like 94.
Well,
you're
like plenty of other games came out. They did the 2.5D.
Well, there were multiple Paper Mario games too.
Yeah,
like there.
I do remember seeing on Twitter when that game came out. People were like, "Man, this is like very unique." Whoa!
I'm like, Paper Mario says hi.
Yeah, and I'm like, maybe the story, like the way they were explaining it, like I thought, because the way you explained it to me,
there's games like that. Saga Frontier is
I thought like each character would have like an impact or something like that. You can. Like, the way you explained it to me was not the way I thought the game was going to be played.
Yeah,
and
I didn't either.
You said the same thing, but like I thought that was very unique. But people were talking about the graphics, and I'm like, you think the graphics is unique? Like this is not something new.
It's pretty. It is pretty.
It is cool looking, but it's just not something new. And that's the thing. That's the thing with Square Enix that I've been trying to tell people. Like, stuff they do is not new.
They're con men. Yeah, they try to spin it as new.
And then people just eat it up. They're like, yeah, man. Like, it was one game I was playing. I'm like, man, I really love this active turn battle system, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, man, Final Fantasy VII did that. I'm like, yeah, I know that, dipshit. But I know Final Fantasy VII did that shit. Like, that's not the point. Like, the point is, I really like this shit. Yeah. It's like, well, Final Fantasy did it first. I'm like, well, actually, no, Chrono Trigger did it first.
Yeah.
Fucking bastards. Like, don't try to tell me what. It's just so annoying. It's so annoying. And their JRPGs do not do anything new.
No, their JRPGs aren't fun, dude. If you want quality JRPGs, Monolith Soft's your company.
Yes.
Like, they know how to make a JRPG. Dude, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a fucking excellent JRPG. Like, yes, it's slow, but that's what JRPGs are. They're slow, and they take a while.
And then it builds up, and
it builds up, and then eventually there's a payoff. Yeah. And, like, dude, the way they build the worlds, like, it's just... Dude, I compare Final Fantasy 15's world to, like, any of the Xenoblade Chronicles worlds.
Let's do Xenoblade Chronicles X, considered the worst one.
But dude, I told you this, I think maybe I was talking to my brother, I don't remember. Dude, I think the world in Xenoblade Chronicles X is literally the best world they've ever created.
Like, it is. I like that world.
It's a fucking masterpiece.
I like the sci-fi-ness of that world.
It is incredibly designed.
Now let's look at
15.
The stuff that happens, the stuff that is in X, right, makes sense. You see crash shit everywhere.
Yeah.
You see some stuff that's like, if a team went over here, they reference a team, like that team stuff.
There's a side quest involved there.
Like just like the landscape, like everything makes sense.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15, y'all. You're in this world with the giant fucking tiger beasts roaming the fucking earth and shit like that. You have a gas station in the middle of the fucking thing that's not being constantly attacked.
There's no no guards. There's no fence. There's nothing protecting these people, and there's just a quarrel across the street, just chilling.
Yeah,
just walking around.
You got another area that looks like Hawaii. And it's just like chilling. Yeah. But if you go like 2 steps outside of it, a giant fucking mob is right there.
Yeah, like a huge turtles coming at you. Fucking adamantoids coming to kill your ass, and it's just chilling next to the town. Like, hey,
the world never flowed right with me, and even in like The Witcher, like. You can say, like, well, The Witcher had giant monsters roaming in. They didn't really attack the towns, but yeah, they had guards. They had the Witcher who was there to...
Well, also, the monsters were never really that close to the towns.
Exactly.
Like, they were... And if they were, it was part of a quest, you know? Yeah. And it made sense.
And then they'll hire you to get rid of the monster.
To get rid of the monster. Yeah, exactly.
It just made so much sense lore-wise. Everything flowed together. I haven't felt that kind of cohesiveness with the Square games in a while. Maybe 12... But like I said, they had to remake that game for that game to be good.
Yeah.
And 13-2 was all right, but it still had the same issues that 13 had, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14, yeah, it's one of those games where it took me a while to realize, but I pop in and I pop out of the game.
Yeah.
Like when I played World of Warcraft, I literally did not stop playing that game for a while.
My pop-ins were like a year.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, or 2 years. I didn't pop in for a month and pop out.
Yeah, but the Final Fantasy 14, like I pop in and I don't see a point in having a party. I don't see a point in having a guild because it does everything for me.
Yeah, it automatically makes a party for you.
Yeah, you want a 50-man raid? We got you. You want a 20-man raid? We got you.
You want a 5-man dungeon? You good.
Good. We got
you, bro.
We got you.
Got you, bro.
And like that game is really fun in a way, like a theme park kind of way. Yeah. But as far as quality, that's probably the only game I give them. Like, okay, I see where
pass
on.
It's still not that great of a game, though.
Yeah,
like it's not something that I think about. Like, it's not an upper echelon game.
Yeah,
like, World of Warcraft is on my top 100 games of all time list.
You got to clarify that. Which you got to clear post or pre Lich King.
Vanilla World of Warcraft.
Okay, vanilla.
Yeah, sure, pre Lich King. Yeah, absolutely. Is that game is on my top 100 list? Like. Final Fantasy 14 wouldn't sniff the top 100 list. Like, it's not even close. Like,
and I did have fun playing with my friends.
It's a fun game, but it's not transcendent in that way. Yeah. You know, like it's not doing anything new. Honestly, it's just the ultimate form of something that's been derivative for like 15 years.
Exactly. Final Fantasy 14 is the greatest example. I love my friends to death, both of them. I've been getting them to try to play World of Warcraft for years.
Bro,
years.
Yep.
Name one thing that Final Fantasy 14 does combat-wise that World of Warcraft doesn't.
I will say the classes have unique mechanics, probably.
Okay.
That World of Warcraft's classes also had unique mechanics, but not in the same way. I will say that's the one thing about Final Fantasy 14 that I like is the classes all kind of have their own unique mechanics tied to them.
Okay.
That changes the way they play.
Yeah, that's true. But
that's like the one thing I can point to. But everything else is
when I play the pug list, I mean, it's like...
Well, that's the other thing.
I'm still doing the hotkey thing. Like,
No, 100%. It's like a dance, right?
Yeah.
And there's like a rhythm to it, and you have a rotation of skills.
Yeah.
That's a World of Warcraft thing, right?
I think the one class that did stick out to me, I didn't play like the Lancer class or anything like that, but the one class that stuck out to me that was really fucking cool was the Ninja class. How you gotta do certain...
Yeah, you do certain jutsus to unlock, or you do certain abilities to unlock certain jutsus. Or whatever.
That was really cool to me. I like that. I really felt like a ninja when I played that shit. But they was like, yo, this game is just so cool. Yeah. I can explore this large world. Oh my god! I'm like, guys.
Well, dude,
I've been trying to get you to play. I've been trying to get you to play World of Warcraft. That game does it a lot better. We have large. Wow, we can do 4-man dungeon raids. We can do 20-man dungeon raids. Guys,
we can do PvP.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, there's a game called World of Warcraft that does the same thing. Yeah, they're just like, because Square made it though. It's the greatest thing ever. They just never seen anything like that. I'm like, bro, like, I guarantee you, because they fucking hate Monster Hunter. If Square made Monster Hunter like 5 or some shit, they're like, oh my god, look at this Monster Hunter game. I'm like, bro. Capcom did it. Like, it's called Monster Hunter.
You're 100% right, dude. Well, I mean, the thing with Final Fantasy 14 is like, it polishes it's the last MMO that came out that really was copying World of Warcraft, but it polished it to such like a shiny sheen that I think people like it.
Yeah.
You know? It kind of gives you that ultimate version of that World of Warcraft experience, the shitty World of Warcraft experience.
I will say that, yeah. I'll say that.
And that's fine, but that experience is shallow ultimately. And dude, I tried to play that game with Jet like a year ago. Him and I were like trying to level together and stuff. Dude, when you're doing quests out in the open world like by yourself without a party, like, or trying to do it in a party, it's super awkward. Where the story, you have to go into separate instances. You have to like leave your group to do story quests.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you can't do them with other people. It's weird.
Not only that, but the environments are like, I mean, they are beautiful, but like
they're lacking. Yeah.
They're not.
There's not a lot going on.
Like,
there's just a bunch of enemies running around, and there's like a windmill spinning, and it's like.
I mean, you can tell the difference when you go
to interact with though.
Yeah, like when I was a night elf and I was in that fucking and I started the night elf story. I can't remember it, but. You can tell
Tells your soul.
Yeah, tells your soul. You can tell the difference when you went out into the actual world. You're like, oh, this is the actual world. You took that boat and you just went to the main land, and you're like, holy shit! Like this world opens up.
And you open the map and you're like, holy shit!
Yeah, you're like,
fucking shit! This is big. And there's another continent on the other side of the world.
Exactly.
What the fuck?
And then you go into the middle of the continent where you're about to meet. Like,
dude.
You maybe going to see other players. And like. Who the fuck is that? And they try to talk to you, and you can't see what they're saying. It's like
you can't understand them. Yeah,
that
like
shit's cool.
They're speaking another language. Yeah, it's like immersive. That's exactly what exactly what Final Fantasy XIV is missing.
Yes,
it's not immersive.
It's not immersive.
Right. It doesn't feel like a real world. It was like what I was talking about. It's like marionettes. The game's like leading you along. It's like what I was talking about with Anthem. Right. It's like marionettes. Like everything feels like manufactured. Like they're trying to make you feel like you're in an alive world, but you're not really in one. World of Warcraft wasn't like that. Like the game felt alive.
Yeah, it felt like it would be running if you weren't there.
And it was. It absolutely was.
It was, yeah.
You know? Yeah, obviously like NPCs had like patterns and patrols.
Oh yeah.
Of course. If you follow them around, yeah, of course you fucking but it's like when you're just running around playing though, things are happening around you.
It just felt like an actual world. Like I don't know how to explain it, but when you play World of Warcraft, you don't feel like you're the center of attention. When I play Final Fantasy XIV, I feel like the story makes me feel like I'm the center of attention.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And dude, like, think about it, right? Like when you're in your starter zones, the game's just like, who the fuck are you? Like, go kill some kobolds, you fucking idiot! Like, get out of here, dude. You know? Oh, okay, you're level 2. Here's Sinister Strike. Go have fun using that on some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and then you like then all of a sudden you're like level 10 or whatever, you walk into fucking Stormwind and it's just like you're like all this like epic music starts playing and like
you see people on mounts riding by.
You see this like level 60 elite dude just on a fucking mount just sitting there just like hello, citizen. You know, he's just like he's not doing anything. He's just kind of like looking forward, but you know, like he's got this like he's like the deputy commander though of the fucking like Stormwind army or whatever. It's like holy shit, dude. He's just there, and then you can like go see the king and the fucking queen or whatever, and it's like.
And if you're lucky, you might get put into a dungeon raid. Some people may be raiding the city.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, or like orcs are like the hordes coming in and fucking raiding the city, or you go into the fucking king's chambers and what's her name that counselor bitch turns into Onyxia and fucking like a level 60's doing this crazy quest. You're like, what the fuck is that? Like some dragon just pops up out of nowhere and is like trying to kill people. It's like, what the fuck's going on in this game? That doesn't happen in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That kind of shit doesn't happen.
Because it's all in separate instances.
It's all in separate instances. People and like nothing like that happens in the cities really. Like it's just I don't know. It's just missing that.
And I mean, that's kind of what Square does. They kind of like they take existing ideas and then they polish it up and they're like, oh, look what we did.
Yeah,
and
they put their own little spin on it sometimes.
Yeah, but when they used to be about innovation, in my opinion. I mean, even if they weren't innovating, they were doing it in their own way.
Yes.
Like
Kingdom Hearts is a perfect example.
Yeah, that was an innovative game.
It's truly an innovative game.
Like
unique.
I haven't seen any like Bamco. I haven't seen Bamco be like, "Hey, Looney Tunes characters, want to come over and be in a Doc Hat universe?" Like, no one's ever tried that to incorporate that kind of story in the game. And they just don't take risks like that anymore, man.
I agree. I think they're pretty safe.
Yeah,
and they're safe in a bad way where they fuck things up, you know.
And I feel like they got their mobile games. I mean, even not to say like if you get caught in this grind, you're not intelligent, but like even intelligent people like you playing like the mobile game stuff like that, Brave Exodus, like everyone gets caught in that loop, and I just feel like they're never gonna not fail, but like never gonna have that oh shit moment like Capcom did. Capcom had that oh shit moment. They're like, we need to change, man.
And I think Konami actually like is having a similar moment where everybody hates them and they like know it and they like kind of want to come back to gaming, but everybody hates them, so they're like really kind of reluctant.
They're like, oh, Pachinko machines.
Yeah, they're like, here's a Symphony of the Night remaster on PS4, and you like that game, right? You know, so but dude, like with Square, I think my takeaway and what I want people to come away with is I think Montrell and I our through line with these conversations is that we've said this before, we want quality experiences. I don't believe, and I don't think Montrell believes, that Square makes quality experiences anymore. They don't. And we need to demand better from them. They're a company of extremely high means. They have great IPs that they don't use.
They have great talent there.
They have great talent, and they have great studios under them as well. Crystal Dynamics, Eidos. Like, they have a lot of great talent to pull from. Why can't they make great games? Like, what is so messed up over there that they can't make great games? We need to stop telling them that they're doing a great job, because they're not. If we keep telling them they're doing a great job, they're going to keep fucking this shit up to the point where eventually, those of you who are saying that you love this shit, I bet eventually you're not going to love it. And then you're going to start to realize that you didn't love it now.
Back then.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, we've got 20 years of shit.
And there's nothing wrong with demanding quality stuff. Like, people act like because it's someone's art piece, you can't demand quality. Yeah. Like, if I'm a quality artist and you ask me to paint something for you and I give you a stick figure, are you gonna be like, well, this is art, so I can't really criticize it? You're gonna be like, dude, this is a fucking stick figure.
Dude, I asked you to draw a portrait.
Yeah, like what is this stick figure shit? Like, well, no, I'm an artist, so that's how I feel right now.
I'm blessed that you would even make anything for me.
Yeah,
no, guys, like stop treating them like they're fucking gods. Okay,
man.
That's like they're offering a product to us. Like we have a right to demand a certain quality level from a product that we pay for.
Yes, 100%.
And I think people lose sight of that sometimes with games, like you're talking about with the fucking art argument or whatever. It's like, yes, it's art. However, we're paying for it.
Exactly.
Like it's not free. They're not giving it to us out of the goodness of their hearts. Like, that's not how this relationship works. So in that case, that means I get to criticize. I'm not saying you be a jackass about it. Don't be an asshole. Don't come at them and be like, you guys are fucking the worst. You should all go jump off a fucking cliff, burn your fucking building down.
We gave them their just desserts. We did say their games previous to this era were good.
Yeah. And dude, be constructive. I mean, yes, we're getting passionate, both of us, and getting upset and yelling and swearing and whatever. But the thing is, I don't bear any ill will towards Square. I'm disappointed in them. I want them to do better than they're doing.
The last 9 years have been really disappointing.
Yeah. And whatever they come out with next, dude, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I have literally 0 ounces of excitement in my body about that game.
I think it's going to be an action game.
It is going to be an action game. And maybe even if it's not, I mean, is it going to be good? I don't fucking know, dude. Like,
I think people really want it, and what I wanted that game to just be remade with updated graphics. Like,
that's all anybody ever wanted, but Square has to overcomplicate it and westernize it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be westernized. Western people only want action combat because their brains are fucking tiny. I don't understand what they think we do over here. That we just run around and shoot each other to fucking death? Like,
yeah, man, Call of Duty.
Jesus Christ. Like,
nah, man,
actually, none of us do that. We're all fat, sedentary assholes that sit around thinking about the world all day. That's what we fucking do in America, okay? That's why we're on Twitter all the time yelling at each other about how dumb Donald Trump is.
Yeah, exactly.
We're sitting around, we got nothing better to do over here. So guess what? Give us some deep games, something deep, something that makes us think, something that's like riveting.
I don't know, man. If they set the standard. Because I think a lot of companies are following their suits.
They used to set the standard. And I think that's upsetting.
Yeah.
That people are following this.
And I'm glad Monolith Soft is not. Like, I'm glad they're doing their own thing.
Yep. And Nintendo's letting them do their own
thing
as well.
But Square, they just, it seems like they get a blank check from like Sony or Xbox or whoever the fuck, and they just be like, do what you want to do, and they're like, we're not gonna do shit. We're gonna pocket this shit.
Yeah, we're just pocketing that money.
Yeah,
make a shitty Final Fantasy
we'll
game.
get it out in about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Make a game. You know what's funny from them? They made Tokyo RPG Factory, a studio, literally to make games in like less than 2 years, or like a year to year and a half turnaround. And it's like so funny that they're like somebody within Square recognizes that they take way too long to make video games, because that the idea that they specifically made a studio to make games fast is like hilarious to me. You know, it's like it's just. Oh my god, I don't know.
And then people just get overhyped about every trailer that pops out. I don't know. I'm done.
Well, dude, when they re-reveal Final Fantasy VII Remake, because we haven't seen it in a while, I mean, you know, every motherfucker is gonna lose their goddamn mind. Everybody. Because everybody loves Final Fantasy VII. It's the best video game ever made. Sephiroth's amazing. Cloud is such a deep character. Aerith is such a deep character. Yeah, sure they are. Okay, whatever. I mean, awesome. Sure. When this game comes out, hopefully they prove that they're deep characters. Because the game I played, that wasn't the case. But I mean, everyone's gonna like that. That's the problem. I don't think people are gonna judge Final Fantasy VII Remake on the merits of itself. They're gonna judge it based on their impressions of the game that they played back in 1997.
Yeah,
you know, which is not the way you should approach it.
One game we didn't mention, I forgot to mention, was Nier Automata. That's Square, right?
Yeah, it is.
That's a good game. Sorry, Square.
It's not made by Square though. It's contracted to Platinum, which is not a studio they own.
Okay. Who made the first Nier? I like that game.
I don't think Platinum. I'm not actually. I think Platinum did make that one.
They made the first one too.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure. Yoko Taro has been he's the director for both. Though.
Okay.
And he's the person from Square.
I did like that game. So I love that game actually.
No, Nier Automata
is a masterpiece.
That is a masterpiece. That really is a masterpiece.
We did a 2-hour rant, but we didn't include that game.
However, it's not made by Square proper. I mean,
that's true. They had to outsource their combat.
They outsourced the game, yeah.
Okay,
and
I can give you that.
They may have been directing it, or Yoko Taro might have been directing it, but
yeah, Yoko Taro.
Yeah, but they didn't themselves make it. Their internal studios didn't make that game.
Yeah, so it's not the same. Like, well, you can get the same criticism to you can get the same criticism to Kingdom Hearts and Nomura. But that was a first party studio. Like, all those are first party studios from Square. Like, that's their internal team. So we can definitely criticize them. But and it didn't have a shitty story. But yeah.
All right, I think we're done. I don't want to talk about Square anymore.
Yeah, it's literally getting me sick over here.
Fair enough. All right, well, if you hate our opinions on Square, you're a fanboy, fangirl, you want to tell us how wrong we are, or if you just want to have an interesting discussion with us on Twitter, he's at iTrap for the Hokage. That's the number 4, not the word. I am at ThunderNut01. Podcast is at The Player's Take. If you got a question for us, comment, you want to email it to us, you can do that at theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. We'll see what happens, I guess, during the week.
Oh, yeah. I think we're going to be reviewing, probably not the Division.
No, Division comes out next Friday, so probably not. We'll have something.
We'll have something for you guys.
Things have been happening every week.
Man.
So we'll have something to talk about. Fair enough. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you stuck with us this long, we appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next one. All right? Bye, guys.